Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the cover boundary. At last the time is come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than red counters and a slice of cake. But first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act. But people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pasco, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. Would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket.
Where's Hendo?
First it was Jason Holder, then it was Ben Stokes, then it was Stuart Broad, and last night it was Paul Sterling. COVID impacted it may have been, but this summer has thrown up a series of remarkable individual performances. Who will stand up next as a Pakistan packed with promised potential, old heads on young shoulders and old heads on relatively old shoulders stride into town? Good morning, good afternoon, good dawn, good dusk, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Guerrilla Cricket. I'm Gorilla Hendo, Nigel Henderson, and I am so excited I don't know how to tell you. It's England v Pakistan, day one of a three-match series. Cricket is coming thick and fast, it really is, and if you may have noticed, we're so excited that I was muted for the first few moments of my introduction, but just to keep you on your toes, and thankfully not Fred Titmus has turned up and told me, "You're muted, Hendo!" Thanks, Fred, always on the ball at the right moment and at the right time. So not Fred is with me alongside Jono Gordon. Morning, Jono.
Morning.
Actually, that's quite good, isn't it, to have a Jono in the commentary box after Brian Johnson. To have a Jono, and also to have Fred Titmus in the. It's packed with stardom. Is the Guerrilla Cricket box today?
I feel like I've moved in with Jono. I seem to have been talking to him non-stop for the last couple of days.
Oh, really? Have you? Were you both on yesterday?
We were on yesterday for extended periods, yes.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I was only able to watch that on TV while working yesterday, so I didn't hear any of your wise words. I didn't miss much. It was a rubbish game, wasn't it? Awful. Yep. Yes, but well done, Ireland. Men in green and
Oh, Hendo's
today. Anyway, Pakistan have won the toss. They have decided to bat. They have not taken the Jen Holder route. They are going to use of a pitch which we think might spin a little bit later. And to that end, they have included 2 leg spinners. When was the last time a team had 2 leg spinners? Would it have been Shane Warne and Stuart McGill?
McGill, probably, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, the other news is that England are unchanged. So Zach Crawley does not get a recall. But they may be going a batsman like. Anyway, let's just talk about Pakistan. How excited are you by this team that has a 17-year-old who already has a hat-trick? He's meant to be a demon fast bowler. Shaheen Afridi, who's about 8'3", coming in from left arm over the wicket. I almost wanted Pakistan to bowl because I wanted to see these guys in action. I know we've seen Shaheen Afridi, but we haven't seen anything really of Naseem Shah apart from the odd clip from Australia. How excited are you, Jono?
I think the young lad, I just remember when he burst onto the scene with this hat-trick, all of a sudden social media in the cricketing world went mad, and I got to watch it, and he bowls absolute rockets, doesn't he? I think they'll want to try and protect him, obviously being a young lad and worried about stress fractures, as a lot of these young quick bowlers get just through hammering the body, but excited to watch him in English conditions. He was swinging it in the UAE, so if he can swing it there, he can certainly swing it here, and I think, as you say, quite rightly, perhaps going in with a batsman, one batsman fewer than possibly I'd like the England side again, so we might struggle if the Pakistan bowlers hit their lines and lengths early, but let's hope not.
Yeah, Fred, your view, Shaheen Afridi, we've seen quite a bit of him, had a really good World Cup last year. They've got variety, enormous variety, Pakistan.
They do. Of course, England have a massive advantage in that they're coming in off 3 games in the last 3 weeks, and Pakistan haven't played any meaningful cricket for 6 months or longer. And I would have thought that when Pakistan won the toss, they must have been a little bit worried that if they do choose to bat, it could backfire on them, and perhaps the safer option would be to put them in. I'm not sure safer in terms of match situation, but in terms of their nerves and what could go wrong for them. But they've taken the brave decision, probably the correct decision, to bat first. They've exposed their batting lineup that, as I say, has not had any meaningful cricket for a long time, to a successful bowling unit which has bowled very well in the last 2 Test matches. I think it's going to be a cracking morning's cricket, and it could be a crucial first hour.
Could be a crucial first hour. Yeah, I mean, you talk about them not having a meaningful cricket. They played a couple of warm-up games, Team Green v Team White, and you know that those Team Green and Team Whites are going to be packed with talent. But also going back to was it March when they played against Bangladesh in Pakistan, just a one-off test, I think it was. So that was probably the last time they played meaningful cricket. And to be fair, if I remember correctly, they only had to bat once in that because they won by an innings. So yes, you're right in some sense that there is a lack of, not experience, but a lack of recent cricketing form.
Yeah, normally if they'd come to this country, they'd play a couple of county warm-up games as well as perhaps some inter-squad games. But it's coming in a team that played a few days ago and has bowled really well in the last Test match, England. It's going to be tough for them, and as I say, a brave decision to bat first.
Okay, well, I'll take you through the teams just so you have all the lineups as the teams take the field. Shan Masood, Abid Ali, Azhar Ali, Babar Azam, I'm looking forward to seeing him again. Asad Shafiq, Mohammad Rizwan, who's now, of course, taken over from Sarfaraz Ahmed, once was captain, now can't even get in the team. Shadab Khan, Mohammad Abbas, Naseem Shah, and Shaheen Afridi. England going with Sibley, Burns, Root, Stokes, Pope, Butler, Woakes, Best, Broad, Archer, and Anderson. They are out in the middle now. Let us jingle up the early contestants there.
Shan Masood was born in Kuwait in October 1989. Less than a year later, Saddam Hussein invaded. Coincidence? Yeah, you keep telling yourself that.
It sends a warning They're done.
They're done. Well, it's very difficult to hear from this end. The jingles just disappear into the ether in my headphones. Anyway, Jimmy Anderson is out there. Looks like he's going to open the bowling from his very own end, and he has a jingle that goes somewhat like this.
Jimmy was a local boy, but he see much more than the change in the weather. Sitting in a uniform of a three-piece suit and the ribbons from his past.
And here he comes, first ball to Shan Masood. He's in, bowls, and he gets a leading edge as he was trying to tuck that away into the onside. It flew towards gully on the bounce. So an interesting opening for the man who was born in Kuwait and lived in Kuwait, and then came to Lincolnshire of all places, and had a couple of games for Durham University.
Toss up, I think, each of two, Lincolnshire or Kuwait. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Has Lincolnshire been invaded recently? I'm not sure.
Not since the Danes.
Oh, the Danes. Oh, yeah, they were a pest, weren't they? Here comes Anderson in again, down on the leg side. It allows this to hit him on the thigh. It'll run down to the boundary, but it will be signalled as a dead ball because he played no shot at that. So we wait to go again. Have we got any tweets this morning?
We do. Gits and Grats. The Gorillas are taking this seriously, going with all their big guns today. It was an early one. Anandia Dutta, looking forward to a superb series with Gorilla Cricket. We look forward to having Anandia on with us on Saturday. We followed that with try not to win the test before I come on the air on Saturday.
Well, we'll do our best. Here comes Anderson again, over the wicket to the left-hander, and he thinks about having a little flash at that outside the off stump, and then perhaps just draws the bat inside the line. And through to Butler it goes. Pakistan yet to score. 3 balls bowled this morning. It's a little bit cloudy. On the longer range weather forecast for the day, there do look like there could be periods when a little bit of precipitation moves in. That's nothing unusual for Manchester, frustrating though it may be. But we wait to see. It's cloudy. It's not gloomy, but it is cloudy. He's in, bowls a full ball. It's a beauty that beats Shan Masood as he just presses forward outside the line of that off stump, and through to Butler it goes. Hello to everybody on Crick Tracker, especially a grand welcome to any Pakistan fans who are joining us through that particular instrument. Great to have you along. That was a really lovely ball from Jimmy Anderson. It seamed beautifully. No shame in being beaten by that one. For Shan Masood, who settles down again. 3 slips in the gully for Anderson. Coming in over the wicket. Oh, and that's one he brings back into Masood, who decides to leave and might have been a little alarmed when he saw it arrowing back into his off stump, but it clears that off stump by some margin, and through to Butler it goes. Yes, welcome to all of you on Crick Tracker. It's wonderful to have you along. Welcome to all of you on Hot Mic out there. Doing wonderful work, syncing their or your TV pictures with our commentary. Go to hotmic.io if you haven't already done so. Use the code GC Radio, and we get $1 for that, and it doesn't cost you a thing. In comes Anderson, final ball of the over. In behind it this time, Masood. They're looking for a quick single into the offside. They won't get it, and that is a maiden to start with. Pakistan none for none. More tweets.
So just want to cover off a few people joining us on Crick Tracker. Tazul Islam, good luck Pakistan. Tariq Ahmed, Pakistan have won the toss and have to bat first. Fakari, match club started. Nadeem Awan high, Usman Sheikh high. That's the Crick Tracker for the time being. Muttley joins us. Woof, morning primates. Looking forward to listening into the day's play. Snacks at the ready, love and sausages.
Love and sausages to you, especially the sausages. Abid Ali is going to take strike in England for the first time, and he is going to be facing up to none other than this man.
Sweep the leg, Brody. Got the best headband around. Something has got to keep her down. Got the best headband around. Your ego ain't gonna be kept down. Got the best headband around. Even though your hair is thinning now.
And here he comes for the first ball with the best headband on around his head, funnily enough. And he turns Abid Ali round a little bit, but he pushes into the offside and they hurry through for the single. Throw came in from Jimmy Anderson, I think it was, had to pick it up on his left hand and turn the throw with his right. And that gave Abid Ali enough time to scamper home, backed up by Jofra Archer. Pakistan are off and running, and Abid Ali has his first run in this England series.
Yeah, it's a good over from Anderson first up. I thought he made them play every ball, and even if you're not at peak pace, it's very important to make them play as much as possible, which is why perhaps Broad and Anderson are a better bet with a new ball than, say, Archer, who might give them 3 balls that they can leave quite comfortably in each of his overs.
Well, Broad is going to switch to round the wicket for the left-hander. That's an angle from which he loves to operate now, and has brought him great success, especially against someone like David Warner. He's bowling to Masood, he's in, he bowls, and this one comes off the thick outside edges as he presses forward, fires away into the gully, and there is no run.
To any of the statos out there, can they give us the Stuart Broad bowling to left-handers in the last few years? Because he must have some quite remarkable figures.
Bowling to left-handers since the start of the last Ashes would be quite fun.
Yeah, pre-David Warner's horrendous campaign.
Absolutely. And we always like to look back on that, those moments of joy for England fans. 3 slips of gully, backward point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, long leg. That seems to be the default field at the beginning of a test match. This is flicked away by Masood. It's fielded by Dominic Bess at mid-wicket, diving away to his left, and there is no run. Have we got that stat yet? Has that stat come through yet?
Not just yet.
Not just yet. Come on.
Couple of occasions, it almost looks like the pitch is a bit tacky. It doesn't look like it's got a great amount of pace. A couple of times in the first couple of overs, the Pakistan batsmen have almost been a bit squared up. I don't know whether it's just sticking in the pitch or practicing.
Yeah, could be. Here's Broad again, in, bowls. Masood leaves this one, it was angled in, it kept coming, and it's taken by Butler. Of course, the GPL is open. You can get on that immediately. Please play the GPL. We have so many things we ask you to do early in the morning, but it does make a difference to the fun of the day. The GPL is the Guerrilla Prediction League. You predict how many runs you think will be scored in the day. You have until lunch to do this, and you have a guess, and each time you have a guess, you pay us £1. If you get it on the nose, you get all the money that's in the pot. What's in the pot, Bear? I'll wait to hear from the Bear.
£39.
£39 in the pot. Of course, the more you add to that, the more it goes up, the more exciting it gets. In he comes, bowls. Masood, very clever to see the quick single as he just pushes out on the offside. This is promising from Pakistan because they're not going to allow themselves to get bogged down. They are going to pick up these singles wherever they can. So he is off the mark. 2 for no wicket. Go to guerrillacricket.com/competitions. Register if you haven't already done so. You can have as many guesses as you want. And if you do happen to get it on the nose at the end of the day, you get all that's in the pot, or if more than one of you does that, you share the pot. It really can be a very lucrative thing to enter. People have won as much as £190 for a £1 stake. Broad over the wicket to Abid Ali, into his hip. He turns the ball into the onside. It's fielded at mid-wicket, and that is the end of Broad's first over. Pakistan have moved to 2 without loss.
Jay Grover, morning all. Supporting anything and anybody sticks in my craw, so yesterday was a guilty pleasure. Thankfully, I can now go back to ambivalence, relax, and let Mother Cricket give me a hand shandy. Let's have a cracker.
I really don't think that's the most important thing that Mother Cricket gets up to, by the way, Joe. But anyway.
Leo Wicket Witch, I think England's selection is finally on the right track. Good to see none of those numpties that lost to Ireland yesterday in the team today. But, I mean, it'd be incredibly difficult because they're obviously 2 separate squads as it stands. But, I think some people obviously look at the Crawley situation. I would have preferred to have Crawley in the side, but it's each to their own, I guess, isn't it? It'll be proven right or wrong.
Beauty from Anderson. First ball of his second over. Shah Masood did absolutely nothing wrong. Played down the line of that. It must have seamed from middle and went past off. That was an absolute beauty. He's getting it to talk off the pitch at the moment, is Jimmy.
That's completely unplayable.
Well, I think it is, and I think we saw that. Shah Masood couldn't play it. But I think, yeah, absolutely, he's getting it to move off the pitch rather than extravagant movement in the air at the moment, which we more associate with Jimmy Anderson. Anyway, here he comes again. The slips go down. He's in, bowls this onto the hip, and I think that's been brushed very fine by Shan Masood, despite the leaping Butler. He can't get near it. In fact, it's come off the pad. It's run away for 4-leg fives.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
You can understand when it's doing what it is off the pitch, why he's perhaps starting his line around about middle and leg, and then perhaps just getting it wrong every now and again.
Well, he does test out. He sort of moves across the crease whilst trying to make them play, but he's very good at sort of testing out where it's going to move from, and when it comes to swing and seam, he finds his line, and once he's found it, he's going to stick to it.
He's in again. Bowls another beauty. That for all my life looked like it was coming in to strike the pad of Shah Masood, but it then moved away and beat his forward prod. He nods acknowledgement of what a fine delivery it was. I'm never sure whether that's a good thing from a batsman. What do you think, Fred? Do you think you should acknowledge good bowling?
I think it's almost involuntary. It actually makes you feel better. You think there's nothing I could have done about that. I haven't made a mistake. So
don't you think it's just like you're trying to be too nice to the bowler and say, don't bowl me another one like that. In comes Anderson, bowls a full one. It defended into the ground and then back into the hands of Anderson on his follow through. And there is no run. 86 miles an hour, so pretty good pace from Anderson as well.
Looking at some of the Sky coverage there, they were just looking at Broad's first over, just at his foot marks on landing when delivering. It looks like there's a lot of ground being cut up in the first over from that end of the Test match. There's been some pretty inclement weather in Manchester, which won't surprise anybody. But I think maybe that's why the pitch looks a bit tacky almost. I think there's maybe a bit of moisture in the top.
Okay, Anderson races in, bowls again. This time Shan Masood is happy to lay on a battle. A little bit shorter, he gets in behind it, pushes it towards mid-on, fielded by the man coming in from mid-wicket, and there is no run.
Martin Lawrence has been on. Hi guys, series predictions. Result 1-all, most runs Azhar Ali, most wickets Stuart Broad.
Good predictions. Yes, that's a very good idea. Let's have some predictions like that. That's quite good fun. Yes, well, if you look, it was 2-all in 2016. It was 1-all in 2018. There's not much to separate these sides. In comes Anderson, bowls, and that's a good leave by Shan Masood outside the off stump through the keeper. It goes. It's the end of the over. It's 6 for no wicket.
Gwen Newman's been on. Most runs conceded by England in a given 24-hour period has to be a record in play. England batted first and fielded first, respectively, in the two tests they played simultaneously in February 1930. Ireland won their innings at 6 p.m. last night.
Hang on. Sorry, I missed some of that. Are you saying we played two tests simultaneously in 1930?
In February 1930, I presume neither of them were in England.
Yes, one would imagine not.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, there was a lot of runs scored yesterday, weren't there? In that.
Oh yeah.
Day match. So.
What was it? 660 runs.
Broad.
Yeah. Oh, he's got that horribly wrong. And actually, Butler did well to just fingertip that as he dived away to his left. That was headed for 5 wides, I think, but he's got his finger on it, and they've just got through for 1. I'm not sure it has been signalled as a wide, to be honest. So Pakistan move on to 7 for no wicket.
It's a bowler's game.
Well, are you a bowler, Jono?
I'm an all-rounder. Probably more of a bowler these days.
If you were listening yesterday, you'd know that he's a fully signed-up member of the Dobbers Union.
No, that's what I got accused of being.
He is the vicar of Dibbly Dobbly.
I do like a dobber. Broad round the wicket to Masood. Masood is forward and defends this from the middle of the bat straight back to Broad, and there is no run. Sensible opening, I think. I mean, good bowling, but the batsmen have looked pretty solid so far. Abid Ali, back to be fair, has only faced 3 of the 20 balls that have been bowled. But I've been impressed with what he's not played, Shan Masood, and he has actually been beaten by a couple of corkers.
I think it's good. Makes for good Test cricket, doesn't it? Give the bowlers a chance early before it flattens out, probably in the second hour. But they're being watchful enough. Anderson's bowled a couple of corkers. The in-swing,
he has
nips away. It's not a bad speed.
Broad into Masood in behind this and defending again. back to the bowler. Masood's interesting history. He only made 71 runs in 4 innings in 2016, and it was Jimmy Anderson who got him out every single time. So he knows how good Jimmy Anderson is. So that's maybe why he's nodding acknowledgement in the hope that Anderson will take pity upon him and offer him some nice wide half volleys. But I think he's been got out in the 3 tests. This is a great stat, actually. Outside the off stump, left alone. In the 3 tests that these two have played against each other, Anderson has got him out every time. Extraordinary. Wow. He is the bunny. He is Jimmy's bunny.
We haven't actually seen a single ball swing yet, have we?
No, it's been more movement off the pitch, I would say. There's a bit of a breeze out there, which sometimes hamper movement. Sometimes it helps a little bit, but it can also hamper. It does seem quite breezy. The flannels and the shirts and the flags are blowing around, billowing a little bit. As Broad comes in again to Masood, and Masood leaves this one. It was leaving him, but it started too wide, and he was happy to not have to play that one. No run.
I'm leaving you. No, I'm leaving you.
It's me, not you. No, it's me. It's you, not me. Wasn't there a song? Was it Lily Allen who did a song? It's you, not me. Something like that.
You're asking the wrong person here.
I am asking absolutely the wrong person here. I thought Jono might be up on his Lily Allens.
I remember she did some quite pointed songs, didn't she?
She did, yes. Anyway, the score is 7 for no wicket. I've been furnished with my second coffee of the morning. And in comes Broad to the final ball of his second over. And he's beaten Masood, playing at this outside the off stump. Angled it in, nipped it away. Classic stuff from Broad, but Pakistan survive. And the score remains 7 for no wicket.
Maybe I need to move back to Wimbledon if you get furnished with coffees there, because in Surbiton that definitely doesn't seem to happen.
Well, I have to say my local Costa has been shut down now for about 5 months. I look at it longingly every time I go past it, but they don't seem to have done very much about it.
Not paying any attention to your loving looks.
Absolutely not.
Mike Mealwood, Guten Morgen from a sunny Amsterdam. I don't have anything more to add, but hello all the same. Lester's, good morning, I have nothing else. Farong, afternoon. Farong was with us yesterday as well, so great to have you with us again today, Farong. Afternoon all from Dhaka. Interesting choice by Pakistan to bat first. We shall see if it's a wise decision. Last competitive game for Pakistan was in Feb when they flogged my Tigers.
That's right. They certainly did. It was an innings victory, wasn't it? Here comes Anderson. He's bowling to Abid Ali, and Abid Ali is, well, marginally beaten by that one, or perhaps pulling the bat inside the line. Very difficult to tell which happened first, but it's through to Butler, and there is no run.
I think Flog My Tiger was a Lily Allen song.
Yeah, well, perhaps we shouldn't go there. That's up there with Mother Cricket doing things that Mother shouldn't do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Shan Masood has one, Abid Ali has one. There are 5 extras. Pakistan are 7 without loss. Azhar Ali is sitting up there, the new captain, or relatively new captain of the Pakistan Test team. Here's Anderson into Abid Ali, looking to get it to swing from leg stump. It doesn't really do enough, and it's flicked on its way by Abid Ali down to long leg. He takes the second still. He's quite a little chap, isn't he, Abid Ali? I didn't realise he was quite so small. I thought he was a bigger man than that, but he's quite diminutive. And
Anderson's grown 2 feet since last week.
Well, it could be that. I mean, he's walking tall after last week. He bowled very well, along with Broad and Woakes. No one wanted Woakes left out, did they? I mean, he's got a great record at Old Trafford as well. Anderson then to Shan Masood. Can he get in for a 7th time? Not this time, as this one is outside the off stump and left alone by the left-hander. And there is no run. 8 for no wicket.
Martin Lawrence saying third umpires calling no balls. Good idea or not?
How is that going to work? I mean, are they going to shout in the ear of the umpire who's standing, go no ball, and then he'll have to go no ball? By the time that happens, I mean, you've missed the chance to score, haven't you?
Yeah, well, Jules was saying, wasn't she, our resident scorer?
Yeah.
The scorer was saying that it'll be a nightmare for scorers to keep up with, because they'll have marked a dot and then it gets called as something else.
Oh yeah, they're very quick, the scorers, aren't they, to get their dots in. This is defended up to mid-off, and there is no run. I always remember when it was manually operated, the scoreboard, the main scoreboard at the Oval, They were so quick. I mean, they would tell you how many runs have been scored before the runs have been completed.
Well, actually,
magnificent.
a batsman would look at the scoreboard to see how many runs were there. You know,
That's
if
right,
they put up 3, saying, "Oh, there's 3 here," so
Yeah,
there
the
was
scoreboard has spoken. The scoreboard has spoken.
a pair of brothers used to run that scoreboard years ago. They were renowned for their speed.
And a girl with very nice long dark hair. That's what I remember as a boy. This is defended behind square. It was off a thick inside edge and a bit of pad. It brings Shan Masood his second run. They go to 9 for no wicket.
Is that why you spent your formative years at the Oval?
Well, it's one of the reasons, obviously. But also, I like to sit and watch. You know, because you had that little gap, didn't you, underneath?
Stop there.
No, the little gap under the score, where you could see them, you know, ferreting about and doing things with big wheels. It was very exciting.
I'm not sure ferreting about when you're talking about a lady with nice long dark hair to run cricket. No.
I love old style scoreboards. Anderson in bowls. That's an absolute beauty that moves away from Abid Ali. He was on the back foot, but he was beaten all ends up. But he does survive, and Pakistan, having survived 5 overs this morning, are 9 without loss. More from Jono.
Right, we have a few. Mutley, what was the Anderson end called before it was the Anderson end? And does he always bowl from that end only? I would imagine he'll bowl from both ends, should it be required. I forget, to be honest, what the name was before it was the Jimmy Anderson end.
Well, there was the... they did move... Old Trafford was rotated 90 degrees about 15 years ago. So what were the ends, were named ends, were actually then square of the wicket. So, but they did have... Was it the... What's the railway station at the back of Old Trafford?
Stretford Road End or something like that, I don't know. Broad into Masood. Masood is hitting the pad as he tries to turn this ball angled into him. Away into the onside, it rather scrapes through to Butler, and he dives away to his right to prevent any more extras being scored. Yes, someone will know what they were called. Of course, it couldn't have been the pavilion end, because the pavilion end was at 90 degrees,
yeah.
we said. It was the worst position for members in the known cricket universe, wasn't it? Although,
well, sometimes it's nice to watch from square on, because you get a much better idea of the speed of the bowling.
Well, that's true. That is true.
It's a more visceral experience than
sometimes the square boundaries are smaller than the long boundaries. Now Shan Masood wants a quick single as he knocks this into the onside, but Dominic Bess is round, and Abid Ali says no, thank you very much, and sends his partner back. So there is no run.
We have a second prediction in from Dave Wood. Pakistan 2-1, top run scorer Babar Azam, top wicket taker Mohammed Abbas. Number of times Butler should be dropped but isn't, 3. And best to take more catches than wickets.
Butler must be the only man who gets himself 3 tests from one innings.
It would be impossible for him to be dropped 3 times.
There's a song about that. Onto the front foot comes Shan Masood. No, that was knocked 3 times by Dawn. Remember? Not dropped 3 times. Oh, mind you, that gives me an idea for a jingle. So if you're listening out there, Mog and Perko, perhaps you could get that one ready. Anyone else remember that song by Dawn in the late?
Yes, it was
70s?
terrible. Yes.
What do you mean it was terrible? It was a good song. Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me.
It was Warwick Road End. Was the
Warwick Road End.
The Warwick Road End.
All right. Broad again into the left-handed Masood from round the wicket. It's full and it moves away, but he plays it well, plays it into the ground, and it runs to Rory Burns in the gully region.
Rory Burns looks like he's auditioning for Professor Moriarty in an upcoming Sherlock reboot.
Or David Brent in a remake of The Office.
Also true.
Really?
I noticed that Surrey have a new bowler made his debut yesterday, or in the last game, called Moriarty.
Yes, I saw that too.
He bowled pretty well. I hope he doesn't fall off a cliff.
Yeah. What happened to Surrey yesterday? They fell apart.
Oh, awful.
They were undone by the bowling of Sam Robson.
You're kidding me. Broad in, shorter ball, and he's wafted at that. It was rather an afterthought to play that, but he's got it away through gully, and I think that's going to run all the way to the boundary for the first one of these of the morning.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
Yeah, what do you make of that shot? It moved away, and it was almost like an afterthought to play that shot, I thought.
Yeah, it was almost like he thought about leaving it. It's just run off the pace.
Yes.
effective.
I don't think that's a great percentage shot to play against Broad and Anderson on an Old Trafford morning.
Probably not. But he's brought it 4 runs. He's moved to 6. Pakistan to 13 for no wicket. So England probing and pressing. Look at this breakthrough. 3 slips of gully, a backward point, mid-off. Mid-wicket round towards their leg, and a fairly fine long leg. Here comes Broad again, in bowls. Running away at middle and leg, hoping to get that little bit of away movement to catch him LBW or knock out that off stump, but he defends well on the front foot into the offside. There is no run, 13 for no wicket, 6 overs gone. More tweets.
Jay Grover, I seem to remember a fellow gorilla described Jono's bowling action as like an octopus. Dobbing Octopus is a good name for a band. I might give up cricket and take up singing by the sounds of it.
I think I'm going to come to your first gig. That'll be good.
Jez Klein says umpires should call them. This is talking about no balls. International umpiring must be the easiest job in the world. Run out? Not sure. Let's review it when in or out by 6 feet. Waist high full toss? Not sure. Let's review it 100 times. Did the catch carry? Not sure. 60 replays should do the trick.
Well, there is that, but I think it's a highly pressurised action environment, to be honest. Anderson into Abid Ali, beats him outside the off stump, a little bit of a way shape. Perhaps just a little hint of swing there for the first time.
You do have to stand up for 7 hours a day, whereas the third umpire, who has very little to do, just sits in his little booth.
When you were at school, did you have those so that your teachers who, if they were interested in cricket and they took up umpiring for a school match, they used to sit on a shooting stick at square leg? Did anyone else have that? I mean, it just looks so scruffy, didn't it?
I saw one last Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's still being done. Anderson in, bowls again, a little bit of away movement. Abid Ali suggesting that he'd snatch the bat inside the line through to Butler, quite low this time.
My club chairman, who's in his 50th season with the club, brought along a shooting stick in case he had to do some umpiring.
There you go.
Required.
Not in case any of the juniors were getting unruly.
Yeah, well, that would be quite handy. That's what you should do with any unruly children, obviously, isn't it?
We don't have that many juniors. We're quite an ageing team.
Funnily enough. In comes Anderson again to Abid Ali, has his bat slightly aloft, flexing at the knees, and he turns this off his legs, plays it nicely down to Jofra Archer, running in at long leg. He has a third single of the morning. He's only faced 9 balls. Shah Masood has taken the bulk of the strike. He's got 6 from 30, and Pakistan, after winning the toss and choosing to bat, have moved on to 14 without loss. Surely Durban Oak should be along soon to say we're doomed.
Josie Oak, isn't it now?
Josie Oak, yeah, I can't remember Josie. I have to say Durban.
Discussing yesterday whether it's Oak or Oaky, and we finally had it confirmed that it's Oak. As South African
outside the off stump, left alone by Masood.
An Afrikaan male's kind of slang term for friends or a group of lads, if you like.
Right, okay.
Muttley's been on. All I know about Lily Allen is that she has a third nipple. She also loves cricket. She's a huge cricket fan.
Oh yes, I know she's a big cricket fan. Yeah, so it's quite reasonable to be talking about her in a cricket context.
She did.
I didn't know about the nipple though. I didn't know about the nipple, and that kind of alarms me slightly. Anyway, here comes Anderson. Bowls to Masood. Masood plays this down into the ground. A great effort by, I think, Rory Burns to get a hand on that, but he can't take the pace, much more than the pace off it, and it's run down to the third man boundary for one of these. Well, Shah Masood has moved into double figures. I'm not sure that he's actually hit the ball in front of square yet, but he's surviving, and that's the main thing. He has a much better average over the last couple of years. He's up around about 40. His first 12 tests or so, I think he was averaging only about 23, but he has improved markedly in the last couple of years. So if he can hang in there against his nemesis, Jimmy Anderson, then maybe he can go on to greater things. This is down the leg side, well stopped by Butler diving away to his right. And that
couldn't have been far from leg stump, that last delivery.
Well, actually, I thought that, and then I thought maybe I was just imagining it. But yes, it wasn't that far away, was it? 18 for no wicket.
Martin Lawrence has been back on. I know you guys are more about cricket comedy and fun. Apologies if I focus on the cricket topics and serious cricket issues too much.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, we need to be brought back down to earth, don't we?
Really,
Well, we like cricket. We love cricket, and we love fun. So, I mean, you put the two things together, and it's quite a good mixture, isn't it?
Absolutely. Jay Grover is back on. I think Mog needs to write a grindcore song called Mother Cricket's Hand Shandy.
Yes, I'm not sure how many plays on Radio 1 it would get.
Yeah.
So, Broad is placing his fingers across the seam of this relatively new ball, coming into bowl his fourth over to Abid Ali, who just plays straight down the line, allowing that to pass outside his off stump. I'm not sure that Abid Ali has faced Broad this morning. Maybe in the first over, and he got a single. But he's now operating over the wicket to the right-hander. And Abid Ali has 3 from 10.
Doesn't look much on the scoreboard, 18 for no wicket in the 8th over, but Pakistan will be absolutely delighted with this half an hour's play.
They'll be dancing in the dressing room. They'll be cock-a-hoop. They'll think they've done it already.
They'll be dancing in the streets of the Swat Valley.
Indeed so. Broad in, wide on the crease, angled in, but failing really to move away. It's left alone by Abid Ali. I would like to know how tall Abid Ali is, because he does seem quite striking.
Not very
short. No, he is of. How tall was Tendulkar? Was he 5'6", something like that? He looks like he might be a Tendulkar-sized batsman.
Abid Ali, according to Google, is 5'9".
No,
not sure about that.
No, don't listen to Google. I mean, I remember. I'll come back to that. I'll come back to Google and their heights, because it's a particular bee in my bonnet. In comes Broad, full, driven, lovely, fluent on drive, but straight up to mid-on. There is no run. When I was trying to check a couple of years ago the height of Jofra Archer, I got anything from 5'11" to 6'4". And
it might be a Pakistani thing as well, because if you look at Atif Nawar's IMDb page, it's definitely him, but it's somebody else's height.
Oh really? How tall is he?
Yeah.
How tall is he on IMDb?
He's about 4 inches taller than he actually is.
Oh right.
Brilliant.
Well, I think Atif may be in the Test match special box today. I'm not 100% sure. Oh no, I think he's going to be doing stuff at Southampton when they move down there. So
they let anybody in nowadays.
Another of our stars ripped from under our chins. It's painful. It's kind of good in a way, as you feel fatherly about it, and you think you had some influence upon him, but then you think he's one getting loads of money. Full worked into the mid-wicket region where Dominic Best fields. There is no run. 18 for no wicket.
Happy Ferret says, morning Gorillas, wonderful as ever to you, dulcet ferreting and tiger flogging. Logged in to catch up with the ODIs, only to find even more cricket happening. This is effing awesome.
It is. And, have we had the Australia tour confirmed yet? I don't think we have we? But I sort of heard some talking about it in the background yesterday.
It'd be nice to have a couple of years without the Australians, wouldn't it?
Well, it would in a way, but I just want more cricket, to be honest. And someone was saying
Go and follow your county.
I can't. You're not allowed outside the off stump through to the keeper. There is no run.
They have pretty good live streaming with multiple cameras. It's an almost professional production nowadays in some of the counties anyway. I have to say, stand up for the county cricket in saying that this round that ended yesterday had some absolutely magnificent cricket and some great games, some close games, some historic games. Derbyshire had their highest ever chase in their history in the county.
365, wasn't it? Something like that. They chased against Nottinghamshire, wasn't it? Here's Broad, final ball of his fourth over into Abid Ali. Abid Ali aims a drive, gets a thick inside edge onto the back pad, and Broady says, I don't think you want to be playing that shot against me right now, because you're quite of a short arse and you didn't really get your little leg out to the pitch of it. Anyway, that's the end of the over. 8 overs bowled, Pakistan 18 for no wickets.
Spangly Sai says, when Jimmy retires, will his last spell at Old Trafford be Anderson's End from Anderson's End?
That's a good. You don't necessarily get the chance to decide on your leaving. Although Alistair Cook had it about 13 times, 13 standing ovations. I think he got at the Oval when he went on his way from Test cricket. But yeah, that would be a nice conclusion to the Jimmy story.
Jay Grover says Butler is now irrevocably tied up with Ed Smith's ego. He's going nowhere.
Anderson bowls to Masood. This one is angled across him and he leaves it a good foot and a half outside the off stump. So England straining but unable to get this breakthrough. Broad with the greatest headband ever worn by a sportsman is up there at mid-on, just thinking about how he
Roger
might
Federer says hi.
through. Yes, indeed. Yes. I've lost my headband. It's I'm afraid it's got a bit too frayed. I'm afraid it's got frayed.
It's a real shame though, Hendo, because you were so fetching looking.
I thought so. Although my mum didn't like it, funnily enough. In comes Anderson. Bowls shorter and flicked away by Shan Masood. He'll be happy with that. He's going to get a couple. Is it? No, just the one. Well chased by Ollie Pope, I think it was. Or was it Dominic Best? Hard to see. 19 for no wicket. Welcome along
Did
to
you
the
walk down the street in your headband and people say, "Oh, can I have your autograph, John McEnroe?"
And I said, you cannot be serious.
He said, "Wait a minute, you're not left-handed." They said as you signed their autograph books. You must be an imposter.
And I don't have curly hair and I'm not freckly. So, all in all, I don't do a very good impersonation of John McEnroe.
Well,
In comes Anderson to Abid Ali. Bowls on his leg stump again. And he flicked that away nonchalantly this time. Square enough that the man from long leg will struggle to get round to it. And Abid Ali has his first boundary of this Test series. Abid Ali, he comes with a pretty good pedigree, a man who took a long time to get a Test debut, but when he did, he started scoring hundreds for fun. He's got 200 in his last three, or in his three Test career. So he looks like he's a talented individual. Here comes Anderson again. Bowls onto the back foot he goes, a little bit aerial, tries to snatch it out of the air. Does Rory Burns diving to his right, but can't lay a finger upon it. And that runs down to third man. Dramatic circumstances for 4 runs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, just played a little bit away from his body there, didn't he, Fred?
He did, yeah, and it'll keep the bowlers interested, certainly. The players have had a few days at home in between these two Test matches, and they've had an opportunity to visit a barber, which makes Rory Burns all the more culpable, really. But he looks like he does.
Not having the moustache shaved off, you mean? Anderson in. Oh no, he's not in because Abid Ali seemingly wasn't ready. So
his hair's a bit too long. Jimmy's is looking very sculpted. Jimmy's head.
Yeah, Jimmy was wearing a headband before, wasn't he? In the last Test. I like the headband look in cricketers. I think it's a good idea. Who was the man who always wore it? Is it Jack Brooks?
Dennis Lilly.
No, I'm talking about in county cricket these days.
Yeah, Brooks always wore one.
Yeah. Now that's full of ball at 85 miles an hour, just outside the off stump. Abid Ali did lean forward as if he was trying to play a defensive shot to that. Seemed to be beaten on the outside edge. Ball goes through the keeper. It's 27 for no wicket now. Abid Ali has moved into double figures. He has 11. Shan Masood has 11. And at the end of this over, which is in 1 ball's time, we should be having a change of commentary team. Knackle, Dave and Jono will still be here, but Knackle and Dave will be coming in to replace Fred and I. Here comes Anderson, bowls onto the back foot, goes Abid Ali, plays towards extra cover, picked up by Stuart Broad, who feints in a decline way as if he's going to throw it at the body of Abid Ali, but decides against it. It's the end of the over. Pakistan are 27 for no wicket. And after more tweets from Jono, it'll be Knackle Pandy moving into the ball by ball chair. I can tell you, he's just picking up his headphones now. He will have his microphone to his mouth any moment now, and here he is.
Morning, Hendo. Thank you very much. You join us for coverage of this series between England and Pakistan. We're 40 minutes into the first morning of the Test series. Pakistan won the toss and are 27 for no loss. I'm Knuckle Pandey and I'm joined by Jono Gordon and David Brooke.
Morning.
Tidy start for Pakistan, not without alarm. Ball beating outside edge a few times. That's going to happen on the first morning, but they're still there. Shan Masood and Abid Ali. Stuart Broad continues to Shah Massoud, who's very much been James Anderson's bunny in recent times. Around the wicket, 2 straight, and Shah Massoud turns this off his hips nicely down to long leg. They come through for a single. Yeah, the stats, Shah Massoud has scored only 15 runs in 6 innings against James Anderson, has been dismissed every time. But he seems to have found a method of sorts.
Well, he's leaving the ball much better. Knackle, morning to you, morning to everyone. Yeah, I mean, last time he was just holding his bat out, wasn't he, on the last tour? So he's obviously been watching the videos and learnt from that. The other good thing, I thought, Pakistan winning the toss and batting. They've obviously watched the West Indies series at Old Trafford. You don't win the toss and bat second, you win the toss and bat. So they've just got to get through this session.
Indeed, yeah. Weren't suckered in by the grey Manchester cloud as Broad is into the right-hander. Abid Ali this time. Oh, that one leaps from a length and strikes Abid Ali somewhere on the elbow, I think. Thoughts of a quick single, but nothing doing as Broad is very quickly into his work. Very good off his own bowling, Stuart Broad. There is no run. As Hendo was saying, Abid Ali and Shah Massoud both in good recent form. Shah Massoud's got 200s in his last 2 test innings, and Abid Ali has scored 100 off his both of his first 2 test matches. Actually, that did not hit Abid Ali on the elbow. It hit him somewhere lower, softer and more painful off the inside edge. So, all seems well. Get through your tweets at the end of the over, because I know we've got a few of you with us on various platforms. Or maybe have a look at some hot mic comments as well. Broad in from the Brian Statham end, 3 slips await. Right arm over the wicket he comes, up to the crease now and bowls outside off stump, too far outside off stump, and Abid Ali plays well inside the line. There is no run. Broad doesn't like being left these days. Likes to target the stumps, likes to bowl very full.
I see Waka Yunus was there in this morning's session. I mean, so he's the bowling coach.
It's a star-studded Pakistan coaching staff. We've got Misbah Haq as the head coach and chief selector. Yunus Khan as the batting coach. Waqar Yunus is the fast bowling coach, and Mushtaq Ahmed as the spin bowling coach. Yeah,
they managed to get Mushtaq back from West Indies. And of course, Waqar Yunus was the actual, had a period as the main coach, didn't he? And now accepted the role of bowling coach. It really is a lot of experience there. English conditions. A
lot of experience, a lot of pedigree, and I'm sure if anyone wants a word about how to bowl in Lancashire, they can have a word with Wasim Akram, who's one of the commentators. Although obviously different conditions with the square having been turned around in 2011 or so. England are putting a man under the lid. Ollie Pope's getting kitted up to go.
10 years as Lancashire's overseas player, and he's still got that pad, hasn't he? And still got a home in Altrincham or something. So he's obviously very familiar with this place, Wasim Akram. He's on commentary duty, not part of the coaching team.
That's right. I don't think Wasim Akram's ever been asked to be a coach. I think he's a little bit too independently minded for that, frankly. Ollie Pope has come into short leg. There was an interesting field to Abid Ali for Stuart Broad. There was a leg gully in place. There might still be a leg gully in place. Let's have a look. But Pope's gone under the lid at short leg, a little bit in front of square, and sort of 8 yards away from the bat or so. Broad in, full delivery with that very conspicuous change of field, but Abid Ali blocks it up to mid on well. There is no leg gully, 3 slips on the short leg. No run.
Mog's with us. Morning, Mog.
Morning.
It was a pleasure.
John and I are a little bit quiet. We were here till I was here till the very last knockings of that fantastic game at Southampton yesterday between England and Ireland. Kudos to Paul Stirling and Andy Balbirnie. Full delivery on off stump, and Abid Ali squirts this off the outside part of the bat. There's only one man in front of square on the offside with this leg side catching field, and they come through for a single.
I think you did a 5-hour stint, didn't you, Jono? Was it 5 hours?
I think I because of Gary's internet going down, I did from the 6th to the 40th over in one stint yesterday, and then managed to get myself a bowl of Cocoa Pops, and I was back on in the innings break to talk about today, and then a couple of stints. But I mean, it was just so enjoyable. What a game of cricket to watch and be a part of. It's fantastic.
Yeah, fabulous entertainment. 3 slips on the gully for Shah Massoud. Broad will presumably be round the wicket to the left-hander. He is, and strikes Shah Massoud on the inner thigh, perhaps groin, and it bounces away into the offside. Judging by the way Shah Massoud has gone down, the latter. Pakistan 29 for no loss after 10. Solid start for Pakistan in the circumstances. Dave tweets.
So Martin White,
John
I'm going to stay on tweets just so we can track it. Martin White says the Warwick Road End was renamed Brian Statham End in 2003. The square turned in 2011. The pavilion was hit by a bomb in 1940, destroying the members' dining room and groundsman's quarters.
Wow.
Paul Howarth, if there's an adjective Abidal, then Pakistan's opening batsman does everything. Abidali?
Very good, yes.
Dave Wood, just referring to GC losing talent to perhaps other broadcasters. You are the Leicestershire of cricket commentary, producing endless talent which is then poached by the bigger boys.
Dave, you've disappeared, mate.
We'll find him again, I'm sure.
Here he is. Found him down the back of the sofa. Change to the James Anderson end. James Anderson is removed from his own end, which could be painful. And this man, who is magnificent in English conditions, comes on to bowl.
He's on Instagram, and he's a Twitter fan. On the Ashes tour, not Ben Stokes, but he'll have to do.
Early moral victory for Shan Masood not being dismissed in James Anderson's first spell.
Definitely. Yeah, no, he's learnt from experience on the last tour. And he's in good form, isn't he? Because he scored 2 centuries in the last 2 tests.
2 centuries in his last 2 innings. Yeah, 3 slips in the gully, backward point, mid-off in the offside. Extravagant lead by Abid Ali. Ricky Ponting style, big forward press, and then the bat coming wafting above his head through to the keeper. There is no run. Jofra Archer's warming up at the other end. Joe Root does like a double bowling change. We could be seeing Archer steaming in from the Statham end very shortly.
What do you think about the series then outcome? If you had to, I know you're not a betting man, Knuckle, but I am. So what would you advise, from a point of view of how do you guys both see the result of this 3 match?
I was on another show as this is a good delivery from Chris Woakes, making Abid Ali play, and he blocks up to Anderson at mid-on. There is no run. Yeah, I was on some sort of cricket live stream thing that was invited to, and I said 2-1 England. I think the fact that England have such a depth of fast bowlers, and the fact that they are kind of battle hardened, as it were, by that West Indies series, just gives them the slight edge. England haven't lost a series at home in a long time, since 2014, so that would be the way I go. But I think it's going to be a cracking series. Third ball of Chris Woakes' first over of the Test series, and Abid Ali pushing at this a little bit with his hands, but getting most of the bat on it, and it goes out through the vacant cover region for a single. England leaving gaps in the cover region to employ extra catchers. Abid Ali moves to 13. Shan Masood is on 12. Pakistan 30 for no loss.
Jono, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with Knuckle on it. I think just the fact that England have played more cricket, I think, look, Pakistan will be incredibly happy. The management and the captain, who's yet to come out and bat, will be incredibly happy with the start that they've made.
2-1? You're going 2-1 as well?
Yeah, maybe 1-1. But yeah, as Knuckle says, with the depth of England's bowling options, I just fancy us to biff it 2-1.
As Woakes is in for the first time to Shan Masood and beats him on the outside edge. That's the delivery that he's got into trouble with, pushing at those outside off stump as the ball angles across him from the right hander. He didn't quite push at this, but he definitely played at it. Through to Butler it goes. There is no run.
Fair bit of movement for out the wicket early doors. I just think it's a bit soft on top. I think a bit of moisture in it, and so it'll do a bit to the steamers in this session. You'd think.
The ball,
there was a little bit. Yeah, there was a little bit of rain overnight, so it'll take a little time. This is straighter to Shan Masood. A little bit of swing back into the left-hander, and he blocks it off bat and pad, or bat and thigh pad, back to Chris Woakes. There is no run. So I would expect this pitch to get a little bit quicker over the course of the today, and then certainly by day 2 and 3 it should be very good. The forecast looks good for really for the rest of the test. Today is probably going to be the worst day in terms of cloud cover, at least from the forecast I've seen.
Yeah, it looks like it's quicker. Ball's coming off faster, so it'd be interesting to see how Archer does on this.
Last ball of Woakes' first over, the 11th of the Test series in the innings, solidly blocked off the back foot by Shan Masood. Back to the bowler, 1 run off the over. Pakistan 30 for no loss. Let's keep going with those social media comments.
Jay Grover, Guerrilla Cricket seems to be a feeder club. I miss Atif calling Pakistan matches. The cauldron is bubbling. Derek Willis, all in all, power is back on here after the hurricane, so now I can enjoy guerrilla cricket in its full glory.
Best wishes to everyone on the eastern seaboard who got hit by that.
Barry Goodman says, I think Derbyshire's record chase tells you more about their previous 150 years than it does about the current team. Jay got back in touch, said, leave Burns alone, he looks jolly dashing. Well, I'm not sure we agree on that, Jay. But it's a strange life choice for a man in his early 30s to want to look like David Brent.
I think he's going for Jack Sparrow. Dave's video has disappeared again. Slippery one, this, Brooke. As Broad is continuing, no double change just yet. Full delivery, a big inside edge from Abid Ali as he tries to drive down the ground and it bounces away off the pad into the offside. There is no run. Broad puts hands to head. Definitely beat Abid Ali, drew him into the drive. There is no run.
Tom O'Pollett, one for Statos. How many times in the last year or two have England won the toss?
Good question. Let's look it up.
We'll leave that with our resident statistician. Jay Grover, Mint. Knuckle sounds calmer today. He's not going to ask me aggressive questions about how I defrauded my employees' pension funds.
You couldn't get excited by the end of that game yesterday. You shouldn't be watching cricket, frankly. First morning of a test match, it's a very different scenario. Short ball from Stuart Broad. Abid Ali sees it well and drops to his knees and sways inside the line. Lets it go through to Joss Butler behind the stumps. There is no run.
I enjoyed the coverage yesterday. It was particularly good having other cricket going on as well, and the fact that all of you kept us in touch with the guys were keeping us in touch with the county games. Just to have the fact that other cricket was actually taking place, so much more makes it so much more enjoyable.
It is nice to have grounds to go round, as it were.
Yeah.
I do always enjoy that part of the season when you've got so much cricket going on at the same time. As Broad is in third ball of the over, that long rhythmical run-up of his, Abid Ali. Again, with the slightly flamboyant leave to a ball he didn't need to do anything with, but
I liked,
works for him. There is no run.
Yeah, I like Fred ticking off the Surrey wickets. That was particularly. I'm not either Surrey or Middlesex fan, but it sounded like a great game, and the way that Surrey wickets were going down.
Robson's taking wickets, for God's sake.
Well, you've got to play against.
Surrey
had a job to do to save the game, and they failed to do it.
Yeah, last wicket out-stumped, which is unusual trying to save a game. I'm not quite sure how it happened, though, to be fair, so can't comment too highly. Short ball into the hips of Abid Ali. There is the leg slip and the sort of deepish leg gully in position. Dom Bess in that position. I think that comes off thigh pad down to the man at long leg, and they come through for a run of sorts. In fact, no, off the bat, so Abid Ali moves to 14.
Josie Oak, afternoon. Doesn't Akram live in Australia? The current Mrs. Akram is Australian. Yeah, I think that he does still have a house over here. But yeah, I wouldn't blame him.
Wakad Yunus also lives in Australia most of the year, and in fact, he came with the squad separately because they were coming from Pakistan and he was coming from Australia. But a lot of these guys will have houses in multiple locations. Fifth ball of the over from Stuart Broad, round the wicket to Shan Masood, who thinks about playing but leaves alone through to the keeper. There is no run. And then I like that, gives Stuart Broad a little nod of acknowledgement. I can tell you that England, since the start of 2018, in 19 tests, have won the toss 12 times.
Jay Grover says, Wasim hasn't been asked to be a coach because he was implicated in match fixing. The judge admitted he could not investigate him, in brackets, in inverted commas, because he was my hero. I can send links.
Blimey.
Allegedly.
Well, he was implicated, but...
that's right.
Yeah. Last ball of the over from Stuart Broad, back of a length, and sharp single taken by Shah Masood and Abid Ali as Shan defends off the back foot. Abid Ali caught him through for the single, and they were quite right to do so. Well run by these two. Shah Masood keeps the strike, he's on 13. Abid Ali on 14. Pakistan 32 for no loss.
Leah Wicket Witch, why do you even have that tingling ball jingle if you're not using it?
Very good.
Martin and Lawrence, things you don't expect to hear on cricket commentary number 1023. James Anderson removed from his own end. Could be painful.
I actually got that stat slightly wrong about winning the toss. In 32 test matches since the start of 2018, England have won the toss 19 times. So, yeah, nothing really to read into that.
And Steve Shipcock says, morning all, with you all now. Had to listen to TMS in the car for the first half hour. Mercifully remained Vaughan free. Very much split opinion, Mr. Vaughan, doesn't he?
Between Michael Vaughan and everyone else. Woakes continuing, bowling his second over of the morning. Full delivery, a little hint of swing into Shah Massoud, but very gentle and pushed up to the head-banded Stuart Broad at mid-on. There is no run. Shah Massoud just practicing his movements and timing on that forward press.
Yeah, just going back to this. Sorry, Johnny. Just going back to this coaching team Pakistan have. Mushi. and Waka Yunus. You got Misbah. It's a fantastic lot of experience there, and you sort of Yunus Khan. You sort of see already signs that Pakistan have put more thought into their batting than the West Indies had in terms of the technique.
Shah Massoud defends this delivery. He probably didn't have to defend because it was missing the stumps, but he does so solidly enough. Back to the bowler Chris Woakes. There is no run. It should also be said that Pakistan's batting lineup is of a higher class than the West Indies.
Well, no, but I'm talking about coaching. Yeah, and I know I take that point, but the same mistakes were being made, weren't they? Which a good batting coach would have sorted out.
It's true. West Indies were on their sort of sub-batting coach because their regular batting coach wasn't able to be on the tour, so I think there was a little bit of uncertainty there in the backroom staff. Back of a length from Chris Woakes, a little bit of movement into the left-handed Shah Massoud, but I think that might be the last ball for a little while because it is raining now at Old Trafford. Just a short, sharp shower. Apparently there's quite a breeze blowing across Old Trafford as there has been recently. The ground staff are definitely massing with the covers. In fact, the umpires, the interchangeable Richards, Illingworth and Kettleborough, appear to want to keep the players out there for as long as possible, which is quite right, but we may have a short interruption to proceedings.
Just to bring us fully up to date, Mogg says, did I see something about Tim Bresnan making 100 the other day? You did, his first game for Warwickshire.
Yeah, another day, another Tim Bresnan astonishing performance in the County Championship, or Bob Willis Trophy as we're calling it this year. Back of a length, and Shah Massoud leaves through to the keeper. There is no run.
Good signing. Bresnan got a lot of cricket left in him, hasn't he? And his appetite for the game hasn't diminished, so it's a good signing by Warwickshire. His very first game for them gets a ton.
Yeah,
he always batted too low for Yorkshire, didn't he?
Well, to be fair, he batted at 6 or 7 a lot in the last couple of years. He basically bats as he plays as a batting all-rounder these days. He's hugely effective in that role. Fifth ball of the over from Chris Woakes makes Shah Massoud play, but he plays it comfortably from middle stump into the leg side. Fielded at mid-wicket, there is no run.
Dave Wood says, TMS recently unblocked me on Twitter, something I'm eager to rectify. And Grubby says, good to see Waka Yunus in the crowd. Does Gorilla have any interview footage with him, I wonder? I don't know whether that's a loaded question.
I think it is, yes. There may have been an interview with Waqar Yunus, for which Bear forgot to turn on the camera, or the microphone, sorry. Back of a length, full delivery outside off stump, left alone by Shah Massoud, through to the keeper, there is no run, 32 for no loss. Richard Kettleborough is signalling to somebody, the ground staff. Let's see if they come on, but just now they're certainly waiting for the news, and they're talking to each other and making hand signals at each other. But while we wait for news on that, more tweets.
So we've only got one more. Martin White now abusing my hometown. There are only 2 weather forecasts for Old Trafford: raining and about to rain.
Jono, just to pick up on that, the 2 things you mentioned just before. First of all, 2 questions. First of all, what do you have to do to get blocked by TMS? I'd like to know more about that. And secondly, tell us about the Waka Yunus Bear camera incident.
This was a while ago, to be fair. We do have a change of bowling at the Brian Statham end. Broad is out of the attack after a rare wicketless spell for him in the last few years, and this man's into bowl.
And now it's time for Jofra Archer.
See how he does on this slightly faster pitch and quickening pitch. He's in. Good delivery first up, full in-swinging delivery, which Abid Ali tries to drive at. He just has driven a few quite loosely as he tries to push down the ground. Off the inside edge it goes down to long leg. There is no run. 3 slips in the gully and a short leg in place there were for the right-hander. Let's see his field to the left-hander. I thought Jofra Archer bowled better than his figures suggested in the 3rd Test match at Old Trafford against the West Indies.
Yeah, I think you're right. Bowled without much luck, didn't he? But certainly bowled well. His pace was up. I think that's a lot of people will always judge Jofra initially is on whether his pace is up. Fantastic hairdo for this series. That's He's obviously been to the barbers between the third West Indies test and this one.
As he's in, staying over the wicket to Shan Masood, makes him play immediately. Shan Masood does well though, off the back foot, pushes the quick single into the offside, recognising that there was a gap, and they come through for 1. So I've liked this approach from Pakistan, taking the singles wherever they are on offer, even off the back foot.
Yeah, it's a decent start by Pakistan here because they've done their homework. It looks like they really have thought about how they're gonna approach this series. So it does augur well. Well, cricket obviously left to play in the series, but first blow to Pakistan, 34 for no wicket.
Yeah, an hour into the Test series, 34 for no loss. You're listening to Guerrilla Cricket's coverage of Pakistan's tour of England's hotel rooms in partnership with Hot Mic. Back over the wicket, too wide outside of stump. Good carry through to Jos Buttler, but far too wide for Abid Ali to be playing at. There is no run.
So what do you know about Abid Ali then, Knuckle? Because it took him a while to make a Test match debut, didn't it? Because he's no youngster. Her first-class experience. Yes,
like a lot of these Pakistan players in this team, I think Yasir Shah had a 10-year first-class career before he made his Test debut back in 2014. Mohammed Abbas had 3 or 4, well, I think 5 years actually of first-class cricket before he debuted and had to take truckloads of wickets to get a go. Archer in outside off stump, a little bit closer to off stump this time, but still too wide for Abid to play at. Jos Buttler for some reason drops it. There is no run. And yeah, Abid Ali's waited for his chance. He knows his first-class game well through those years in first-class cricket, and got his chance when Imam ul-Haq was left out of the team, and started with 200s in his first 2 Test matches. I think one of the very few, possibly the only, not the only, because Mohammad Azharuddin I think started with 3, but one of very few players to start with 200s in their first 2 Test matches. And looks a good player from what little I've seen of him. This has certainly been the longest I've watched him for in one go. Good bouncer from Archer, well evaded by Abid Ali, swaying inside the line and ducking to his knees, and falls on the floor, but doesn't matter. He got bat and body out the way of it. Well played, well bowled.
Very well directed by Jofra. It really did take off, and a bit of good evasive action, you have to say, from Abid. He just sort of got his bat out the way and ducked underneath it, and ended up on his arse. Yeah, but
kept his eye on the ball the whole way through. Well played, Abid Ali. A little bit shorter, as Hendo was saying earlier, than certainly than Shan Masood, who's quite tall at the other end. So it's easier to play the bouncer. This one trampolines from outside off stump. Buttler takes a full-ish delivery at head height, and there is no run. End of a probing over from Jofra Archer, a little bit too wide on occasions. 2 off it, Pakistan 34 for no loss. Looks like that shower has stayed away for now, so we're going to have a liquid of a different kind, drinks break.
Guys joined us on Cricket Tracker. I'll just say hello to Usman Sheikh, Arshid Ghani, Zakir Ahmad, Yama Arab, Raja King, Atif Ali, Mohammed Saif Mahar, Gulam Din Katana, and Bali Saab. Thanks for joining us, guys. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Send through your predictions for the series and what you're thinking about today's play. We
always get a lot of love on Cricket Tracker from our friends in Pakistan, and we're loving that. Really are. A few friends with us on Hot Mic as well. Richard Davidson says, morning guys, looking forward to another cracking series. John Corbett says hello from the Philippines. Warren says morning all, and then later says, I always expect Rory Burns to pull a rabbit from his cap.
Twitter's just taken off. Mog it was apparently Michael Vaughan's family blocked Mog. Jay Grover says, right, I'm off to the shop. Anyone want out? Apart from Jono, because his family probably owns Tesco. Just because Nestlers and I kind of, sold a few turtles on the black market, as we were discussing yesterday. Dave Wood says, I was blocked by TMS by advertising your coverage to their listeners every time they promoted their own podcasting schedule.
Oh, good man. Keep going.
I think it was a public service on my behalf. Still blocked by Vaughan and Agnew.
No, you've done fine work there, Dave. I am also blocked by Michael Vaughan, even though I've never tweeted him.
No, I think it's a sort of passage of age or whatever. What do you call it?
Rite of passage.
The phrase I'm looking for.
Rite of passage.
Rite of passage to be blocked by Agnew. A lot of friends of mine have been blocked by Aggers, by pointing out 1 or 2 home truths. I remember Aggers once saying that he didn't have time to watch any county cricket, and one of my friends suggested that you might perhaps ditch the equestrian coverage, and that would free up a bit more time. And he didn't like that observation, and said, if there were 8 days in a week, he could probably do it.
Very good first hour for Pakistan. You join us at drinks in the in the morning session of the first Test match. Pakistan won the toss and elected to bat. They've gone in, by the way, with the two leg spinners, Shadab Khan and Yasir Shah. So they line up as Shah Masood, Abid Ali, Azhar Ali, the captain, at 3, Babar Azam, who's been magnificent in the last couple of years, at 4, Asad Shafiq at 5, Mohammad Rizwan, the keeper, and who's replaced Sarfraz Ahmed with good success, Shadab Khan, Yasir Shah, and then that fantastic three-pronged pace attack of the accurate and nagging Mohammad Abbas, the tall left armer Shaheen Shah Afridi, and the young tearaway Naseem Shah, the youngest man by about 4 years to take a Test hat-trick. England are unchanged from the third Test against the West Indies, with Stokes unable to bowl, so it's no way in but for Zach Crawley. But Pakistan won the toss and elected to bat, and are 34 for no loss after 14 overs. The ball's been doing a bit, mostly off the seam, a little bit in the air, but Pakistan have survived.
Talking of Zach Crawley, did you hear the interview on Radio 5 Live? The guy asked Zach Crawley about his father, John Crawley. Not only did they pick the wrong player to interview because he's not playing, they couldn't get their facts right there.
No relation, from very different parts of the world.
From very different women.
Can't speak for that, but presumably. Woakes continuing after the drinks break from the James Anderson end, right arm over the wicket to the tall left-hander Shah Masood, who blocks this into the onside, takes a quick single up to Broad at wideish, straightish mid-on, but Broad can't pick the ball up cleanly, and they manage to make the single. Good positive play from Pakistan without any real big shots, the odd booming attempted drive from Abid Ali notwithstanding.
Yeah, that was nice. Again, it's been a feature of the morning, the running between the wickets. And again, these two seem to have developed a decent understanding. And it was Stuart Broad who was caught a little bit flat-footed there and slightly fumbled the ball. But yeah, good running between Shan and Abid.
Barry Goodman says hopefully Jofra had permission to stop off at the barbers.
Well, they all went home, didn't they? In permitted manner between tests. Back of a length from Chris Woakes, rising on Abid Ali. Plays it well though and drops it into the onside. They take a quick single.
Grubby says Abidal, adjective, unable to be bid for, not for bribing, unimpeachable.
Very good. Or indeed pertaining to a former Barcelona centre-back / left-back.
Steve Shipcott says, do I get extra points for blocking Vaughan before he blocked me?
Oh,
to be honest, you could have just waited. Also been blocked by Dean Jones, even though I've never tweeted him, which is a little bit weird. Third ball of the over from Chris Woakes, the 15th of the innings, solidly defended by Shah Masood, with a little bit of the back leg coming around. You talk about Yunus Khan, maybe that's a little bit of Yunus Khan's influence on there. Yunus Khan was always a big fan of bringing the back leg out to the offside when playing the forward defensive. So much so it looked like he was taking the piss on occasion.
Yeah, Misbah, the coach, of course, he was the head of the selection panel for the position of coach and chose himself, which is interesting.
I don't think that's right. He's chief selector and head coach. I don't think he chose himself for both roles, but he was appointed to both roles when Mickey Arthur and Inzamam stepped down.
I think he was on the panel.
Full outside off stump, and Shan defends to backward point. There is no run.
I think he was on the panel that chose the coach.
Interesting. Well, we might talk to our pal. We're talking to a man who's been on Guerrilla Cricket before and is ever entertaining, Dr. Kashif Ansari, all the way from Houston, Texas. We'll be talking to him at lunch. Dave and Hendo will be conducting that interview.
Well, yeah, he's a great expert on Pakistan cricket. Does a lot of analysis and very close to the team.
Woakes in outside off stump, left alone through to the keeper. There is no run.
Also, the surgeon to looked after Shahid Afridi's father, very close to Shahid Afridi and all those boys, and he's been the surgeon that sort of saved his father's life, I think, for a while. So quite talented.
Yeah, that's right. And will presumably be happy that Mickey Arthur is no longer Pakistan coach, given past history, which those of you who listened to us during the Asia Cup 2018 will be aware of. Woakes in, last ball of the over. Good delivery, foolish delivery, swinging in. Shah Masood defends again with that back leg coming round as an extra line of defence. Back to the bowl, there is no run. One run off the over, Pakistan 36 for no loss.
Leah Wickiewicz says Aggers has been banned from Twitter since that Jonathan Liu disaster.
Ah, yes, we all know about that. Yes, Jonathan Liu calling him.
Well, not calling him, and then Aggers jumping to conclusions.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, he didn't actually say it specifically. You're absolutely right, Knackle. Yeah.
Cloudy skies at Manchester, but that brief shower that we had passed through, and play has been uninterrupted this morning. 36 for non-Pakistan after 15 overs. Archer and Woakes now in tandem. Ben Stokes will not bowl in this innings. We understand he's not really fit to do so, but Dom Bess presumably will actually get a bowl in this Test match. Archer into Abid Ali, 3 slips and a gully, backward point mid-off, quite straight and quite wide, mid-on. Bowled him! Never mind the fielders when you can do that. A little bit of seam movement from Jofra Archer at pace, back into Abid Ali. A little bit loose with the drive. Off stump is disturbed. Abid Ali gone for 16, Pakistan 36 for 1. A little bit of inside edge onto back pad, onto off stump. Abid Ali maybe a little bit late on that as the ball came in sharply off the seam. Really good delivery from Jofra Archer.
Yeah, Jofra Archer showing again that he's so much more than just about how quickly he bowls. He really, he swings the ball, moves the ball around, and I think all the attention on the speed gun. Certainly, sometimes you lose the fact that Jofra's a very skillful bowler, and he showed it there. A decent amount of movement. And great wicket for him, and sets him up nicely for the rest of this series.
Certainly does, yeah. His seam position's immaculate, Jofra Archer, and on that occasion, Jono, Abid Ali again a little bit loose with the hands, but I think I'm more willing to put that down to good bowling than poor batting.
Yeah, I think that, look, the wicket's just done a bit this morning, hasn't it? I think Pakistan, as we were saying earlier, would be very happy to have gotten into this position. I think England would have expected to have made a breakthrough before now, but will now be looking to probably take at least 1, maybe 2 more before the lunch break. So yeah, you'd say probably honours even, maybe Pakistan slightly the happier of the 2 at the minute, but if Jofra's, his pace seems to be up, so if he hits his lengths, obviously Woakes is bowling well this morning, so if we can pick up another couple before lunch, then you'd say it probably swings back in England's favour slightly.
We're into a very solid and skillful Pakistan middle order, and at 3 it's the captain.
My name is Ali. Nobody I'd rather be.
Hugely experienced Azhar Ali, 10 years in international cricket for Pakistan, now captain with the removal late last year of Sarfraz Ahmed. Has a Test triple 100, averages 42. Not had a great couple of years, Azhar Ali, but back down at 3, he's doing better than he was when he was pushed up to open through parts of 2017 and 2018. Short ball outside off stump to the Pakistan captain from Azhar Ali, who ducks and lets it go through to Butler. There is no run. We've seen that Archer pushed Abid Ali back, and then bowled the one that little bit fuller. Abid Ali his weight wasn't into the stroke, and so the inside edge was taken and onto pad and onto off stump. Good, smart, fast bowling by Jofra Archer.
Yeah, and the wicket-taking ball did swing in quite nicely.
Yeah, and then came in sharply off the seam. Full delivery to Azhar Ali, who defends this comfortably up to Broad at mid-off. There is no run. Of course, he's got some county experience. Azhar Ali did very well for Somerset in 2018 after a poor tour of England in Test cricket.
Yeah, he was a good signing by Somerset. Done well with the Pakistan players, what with Babar Azam there as well. So that experience of English conditions, it's going to help them, isn't it? Should help Azhar Ali.
Certainly. I mean, Azhar Ali, this is his 4th tour of England now. Slightly jaunty leave from Azhar Ali. Not really sure he needed to be quite as dramatic as that, but he leaves through to the keeper. There is no run. Did okay in 2010 on a tour that was a real struggle for Pakistan, and ended in ignominy. Did very well in 2016, not well at all as an opener in 2018. What a leader on this 4th tour. Got Babar Azam, the highest Test average in the world of anyone who's batted more than 5 times since the start of 2018. He's only played 1 innings in England, so we can't really read too much into that. Asad Shafiq, who I think is a hugely underrated player at number 5, but we'll have to wait for all that because 4 balls into Jofra Archer's 2nd over, the showers have come, and for at least a little while, rain has stopped play.
If the rain comes,
They stop playing bloody cricket.
And they stopped playing bloody cricket with Pakistan 36 for 1 after 15.4 overs. A wicket falling just a couple of balls before the rain delay will make England feel a hell of a lot better about this morning's work, having seen Pakistan win the toss and elect to bat first.
Just going back to a few of the Michael Vaughan-esque tweets, Mug saying it wasn't for me. I've been abusing him for a while and I was starting to feel offended at the lack of response. Even Piers Morgan knocked me off quicker than that. Leah Woakes blocked me for referencing his conviction for a violent crime he committed. Jay Grover, in reference to the Doctor, says, "Oh, mint, the Doctor, the man's madder than a barrel of backed up monkeys. Love him."
Yeah, he was particularly exercised about Mickey Arthur, but also he'll be pleased that Sarfraz isn't captain anymore, and of course Sarfraz hasn't made the team. He's just reserve keeper on this tour. Yeah, the Doctor was when he was with us last for the I thought it was during the Ireland match, was it? Or before
the Asia Cup in 2018.
Asia Cup, yeah, he was very down on both Mickey Arthur and Sarfraz, so that combo is no longer running Pakistan cricket, so he should be in a better mood.
Yeah, so much so that Dr. Kashif Ansari and threatened and possibly even tried to get together with a bunch of other wealthy Pakistani doctors in the US and the UAE and buy Mickey Arthur out of his contract.
Oh, wow.
Not sure that offer actually went anywhere, but such was the strength of feeling.
And Peter Lloyd says, sounds like Misbah has been a bit Dick Cheney, who was put in charge of selecting a VP for George W. Bush and selected Dick Cheney.
Yeah, looked around for the best possible candidate, selected himself.
And Grubby sent a brilliant photo of Stuart Broad doing his best "I'm a Little Teapot" impression, which you can see on our Twitter feed. Up to date on tweets.
Yeah, we hope that this rain delay is not too serious. There's only the main cover is on the pitch, so we expect this to be just a short, sharp shower. There's been that strong cross breeze blowing across Old Trafford, so we expect this to blow through pretty quickly. We're supposed to be having a change in a few minutes with Tony, Fred, and Dave on Ball by Ball and there on Jingles. We'll just wibble for a few minutes and have that change maybe when players look to be coming back out.
Bob Mangold has been on. Great fun of ours on Crick Tracker. Morning, guys. Doing a great job. Watching from Brooklyn, New York. Beautiful day. I presume it can only mean it's a beautiful day in New York, because it's certainly not in Manchester.
No, though a lovely day here in southeast London.
Beautiful down here, yeah.
We don't played the test at Sydenham.
Oh, very much. No, we're not too far from Beckenham, which is a county ground, not a test ground, of course. But yeah, we expect this to blow through quickly, and we should have most of the day's play in with the extra time that we're allowed today.
Yeah, it certainly could have accommodated the crowd at Beckenham, but it lacks a Trust House Forte hotel overlooking the ground. That's what we need these days. So it does open up the Derbyshire. Derbyshire might be in line for an international. Well, they play the cards right, and Worcestershire.
Well, Derbyshire is going to be the base for England women when South Africa women tour later this in September.
I mean, Derbyshire could never have been closer to hosting an international match than now, and Worcester too. Surely there's a limit to how many games you can play at two grounds, Old Trafford and Ageas Park.
Actually, I'm not sure whether Derbyshire or Worcestershire have ever hosted a men's international game. Maybe during the '99 World Cup, one of them did. But yes, there will be lots of women's international cricket at Derbyshire later this at the tail end of the England summer.
All these counties that put up conference centres and retirement flats must be kicking themselves now, wishing they'd stuck up a 4-star.
Wasn't there a question? I remember, when we did our kind of Zoom quizzes between us all, I remember someone asked a question about, I think it was the '99 World Cup, and saying there was only one ground I think wasn't used, and weirdly the answer was Sophia Gardens in Cardiff. I can't remember if it was '99, but that's worth checking out. But I've definitely heard that, and I was surprised at the answer.
Well, they certainly made up for lost time on Sophia Gardens or whatever it's called now. They seem to get a lot more games than perhaps would.
Yep. And
there was that incident about the refund having. What was that incident about the ECB having to pay them a lot of money for not giving them a game or something? Do you remember that, Knuckle?
I think that was right. I think that might have been after, because the ECB had this slightly short-sighted policy of counties bidding for games.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of money had been put into It's something similar to what happened to Durham, I think, and Headingley actually. Putting a lot of money into sort of being able to bid for games and then falling short of, and then not getting a game and then having to recoup that money somehow. To be honest, I don't really mind the ECB helping out counties in that way, particularly. In all honesty, but the '99 World Cup had some games certainly in the Netherlands and possibly in Scotland as well. So there was more countries to go around.
Yeah, trip to the
Tony Bishop,
Netherlands also always a good day out. Sorry, Johnny.
Tony Bishop, Gorilla Legend, says rain 5 minutes before my commentary session. Well, there would be, wouldn't there? And then Jay's been back on. I do love that the doctor abused Mickey Arthur for not living in Pakistan from Texas. Before following that with lovely in Sheffield and all, something's wrong. Well, I might have guessed by his abuse of me for being a Lancastrian that he must be a Yorkshireman or certainly living in Yorkshire. You can't have everything, can you, Jay? If someone has to live there, I guess.
Sheffield's a nice place.
Sheffield? Yeah, but it's still in Yorkshire.
I was born and mostly brought up in Yorkshire, different bit of Yorkshire, but yeah, there's a lot of lovely countryside to go around in England.
Yeah, most of the lovely countryside around Sheffield is actually Derbyshire.
I've just been pushing the case for Derbyshire as a Test match venue, not Fred, because on the grounds of their Trust House Forte establishment.
I've got a soft spot for Derbyshire as a county, if only because they just, 150 years of basic haplessness. But I'm not sure that hotel is quite up to the standards of international sportsmen.
England and South Africa women, as I say, will be there through most of September. A month in a Travelodge in Derby.
Yeah, Pakistan versus New Zealand was played at Derby in the 1999 World Cup.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure Sophia Gardens was used actually in the 99 World Cup as well. So whoever. Actually, I've got a list up now. They played at Edgbaston, Bristol, Canterbury, Chelmsford, Chester Street, Derby, Hove, Leeds, Leicester, Lords, the Oval, Old Trafford, Northampton, Nottingham, Southampton, Taunton, and Worcester. I don't see who's missing out there.
That doesn't leave many of the grounds from the 2019 World Cup left.
15, 16, 17. So you're right. There's one missing. Derbyshire, Durham, Essex. Oh no, Glamorgan. Yeah, they did play in Netherlands, in Cardiff, in Dublin, and at the Grange in Scotland. So all the counties had at least one game.
That rain break was indeed short and sharp. So the players are back out there. Tony is supposed to be coming onto ball by ball right now. I might just keep going while he's he joins us. Or maybe we'll do the change at the end of the over. In fact, with 2 balls left to bowl of it, with Azhar Ali on naught, facing up to Archer, who dismissed Abid Ali with a good full delivery, which Abid Ali tried to drive at, but wasn't in position to do so. Inside edge onto pad, onto off stump, just 3 balls ago. As Archer comes in, 5th ball of this slightly interrupted over, back of a length, and Azhar Ali forces this off the outside edge into the gully region. They do not come through for a single.
Dave Emery says a month in a travel lodge in Derby sounds very Alan Partridge.
Yes.
The Linton Travel Tavern. This is his accommodation of choice.
Oh, yeah.
Or of duress, certainly. Last ball of Archer's second over, the successful second over, the 16th of the innings. As Archer's in, short ball, Azhar Ali ducks under it, through to the keeper it goes. There is no run. Pakistan 36 for 1 after 16.
Yeah, he gained the system very well, Alan Partridge, because at the all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet they only gave 9-inch plates, but he brought his own 12-inch plate, which... So, he knew what he was doing. Grubby says there are Native American tribes who send for Tony Bishop rather than doing that rain dance thing. He's far more effective. And Mike Mealwood says we did have 99 World Cup games here in the Netherlands at the lovely VRA ground in Amstelveen. Yeah. Annoyingly, we would also have had ODIs there against this touring Pakistan team were it not for the unpleasantness.
England are supposed to be playing the Netherlands in a 3-match one-day international series as part of the World Cup Super League next year in the Netherlands. But all attention here on Old Trafford. I hand over to Tony Bishop.
All attention here is on Chris Woakes. who's in and bowling to Sean, who's forward. Nicely pushes that down through mid-off, and Hiawatha, aka Chris Broad, goes galloping after it in that rather ninja style headband with his hair pushed back. No wicket this morning. It took Jofra Archer to get through the gate finally, and did it. England, as I recall you saying, Knuckle, will feel an awful lot better about the morning. They bowled well, tightly enough, but without success until Archer found that moment of magic. Woakes is over the wicket to the left-handed Shah, and forward he comes. Does Sean? It says Shah. Sean, as in Sean Masood, of course. Sean Masood Khan.
Well, Sean is a Welsh female name, isn't it? Probably.
Well, I spelled S-I-A-N though, whereas this, of course, is Sean Masood Khan. I don't know about you, Fred and David. I'm excited about seeing this Pakistan attack. Obviously, they're rich in batting talent, and we're looking forward to seeing Babar Azam very much, as this one's left alone outside of the off stump by Shah Masood Khan, and there is no run. But that trio of fast bowlers is as exciting as anything, I think, in the last decade or so for them, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. But they got in with 2 leg spinners, haven't they, into this team? Could have been tempted to have picked, gone in with 4 of them. Do you remember last time they were here, they left out Mohammed Abbas, didn't they, till right at the end?
They did, as Woakes is in, and the bat is dropped on this by Sean, and away into the onside. There's no run.
And in the end, he didn't make that much of an impact. So it'd be interesting to see, because his record in county cricket was phenomenal, wasn't it? And it'd be interesting to see on this tour how well Mohammed Abbas does against the youngsters, the rookies.
Yeah, well, again, he's had good county cricket experience with Leicestershire. In fact, he was taking plenty of wickets for Leicestershire when Leicestershire generally weren't taking many wickets. As this one's left alone nicely by Sean, and has Josh Butler sort of diving away, diving and rolling to his right. So he made a bit of a production number of that, but it was effective enough in the end. In fact, it swung very late, didn't it, David?
Well, you know, he does move the ball around. Woakesy.
He does. He could have done with it swinging a tad earlier, though. I would have thought on that occasion. He has 1 ball left of his 4th over. 38 for 1. It was all going pretty well for Pakistan until the intervention, of course, of your man from Sussex, David Jofra Archer. Woakes is going to be in, right arm over, ball good on a full on a length, and worked away to leg by Sean. He will help himself to the strike.
Yeah, we don't see so much of him at Sussex these days. Not unless he's popping back to see his girlfriend, because he's on. You know, if this had been a normal season, he'd be playing now for the Hampshire Southern Vipers, Hurricane Volcanoes, or whatever. So he wouldn't be playing for Sussex anyway.
No, sadly, that of course is the case.
Would that be the £250 million trip to visit his girlfriend in Brighton, or how much the England management claimed it could have cost?
Fred, get Hove, actually.
Hove. Yes. Oh, Hove is very genteel.
Up the seafront.
Very genteel.
Brighton. It's very different. Different part of town. Yeah. I've been at Hove, David, when the old sea mist has rolled in, and literally it stopped play. I seem to remember that against Middlesex one year. I don't know if you were there as well, Fred. And literally, the players had to go off because you couldn't see the stumps from the edge of the pitch because it was so.
What about that Middlesex win, guys?
Well, hang on a second. As Jofra Archer is in, edged. Has he got an edge? No, he hasn't. It just evaded the edge. It was a tentative old prod outside of his off stump. But Archer will chalk that one up as a moral success, at least. Yes. Well, we were chatting, or I wasn't chatting, but I was listening to a fair bit of chat. You know, it was a wonderful day yesterday if you were a Middlesex fan, I think. A, because it's obviously nice to beat Surrey. B, to do it with a couple of wickets from as he's now called, Shane Robson, was a surprise. What a bowling change. Steve Eskenazi. In comes Archer. And that one is steered between the third slip and gully and will probably go all the way for 4 as Knuckle is going to take off. He's waving his arms so much. Burns, who dived away to his right. I don't think he was ever in with a real shout of getting that. Moves Pakistan on to 43 for 1. 3 slips, a gully, there's a man at back point, there's a forward short leg, a short extra cover, and a mid wicket that we can see in our sights as Jofra Archer rolls his shoulders and is in, and that's just pushed straight back down the track to him by Shan Masood, and there is no run. Sorry, yes, we were talking about some terrific cricket yesterday. Goodness me, yes, there was. So not only was there Middlesex winning, which was amazing, but most Middlesex fans will have been punching the air with delight, even though he doesn't play for us anymore, when Paul Sterling got to his 100, I think. So yes, not a bad day to be a Middlesex fan, and there haven't been many in the last couple of years. And forward comes Shan and pushes this to mid-wicket. Chris Woakes does the fielding. There is no run. 43 for 1.
We've been sent by Chantal Pereira the tosses, results of tosses since 2015.
Is this Old Trafford or overall everywhere?
Everywhere.
Oh, right. That's going to be interesting.
The only one that stands out I can see, Zimbabwe have won 1 out of 13. Which,
there's a 4th slip in. 4 slips in the gully, as in comes Archer. A little bit of lift. And Shan Masood, who's worked his way comfortably enough onto 22, lets it through to Joss Butler, and there is no run. So what? Say that again, Fred. What was the answer?
Percentage of tosses won.
Okay.
Ireland haven't won any of their 3. Zimbabwe 1 of 13. It doesn't help, sometimes tosses are very good to win, and West Indies have won 12 out of 46 and Bangladesh 7 out of 31.
Archer in forward comes Shan. Archer fields off his own bowling.
Oh no, wait, this is nonsense. This is okay. Just reset this. Ignore the last.
Hold on, Fred. That's for us to say when you're talking.
There, wipe the tape.
We'll be the judge of that, Fred.
Well, I think Fred would argue it's received nonsense. So you need to sub-edit what you're about to tell us, Fred.
Yeah. Okay. Talk us through the last 2 minutes, and we'll just slip it into the archive so that nobody knows that's happened. Talking, gents.
Okay. So no, I don't think we're going to let you off the hook quite so easily, Fred, because I think the topic is interesting. What is interesting is that the percentage of calls, and someone will know this. What's the percentage of 1 tosses where a side's been inserted? Generally,
it's an interesting topic.
I think it's an interesting topic because it
for probability.
You know that
probability theory.
No, the percentage of tosses won where a side has been inserted, because it's the decision to insert that is of interest, not the way that the toss actually went.
I may have those details for you.
I sincerely hope so. As in comes Woakes, there's a big shout, and he's given. Yep. He's absolutely given, and reviewed immediately by Azhar Ali, the Pakistan captain.
Shades of the West Indies series there, with Azhar Ali being caught rather back on the crease.
The bear is
was out, that was out, that was definitely out. Was that definitely out? I don't know.
Didn't get that far forward, did it?
He didn't get that far forward. It pitched just outside off. I don't think there's any question or any bat at all. Height, possibly, but it does hit him under the V roll. His bat, in fact, is sort of partially tucked behind his paddle. There's no question he's attempting a shot. What's your decision, Fred?
He's out.
Yeah, looks good.
And he's out. He's out. Yeah. Actually, as I asked that question, the information came up on screen. So well done, Fred, for getting that right. With the information right in front of you.
Not a great review.
It wasn't. It looked plumb to me, and I think to all of us.
Woakes is on a roll after some good bowling in the last game.
Yep. Yeah, it was a very confident shout. I know, Fred, you always say that you don't often hear about medium-sized or quiet appeals. It's always a big appeal.
No, wait.
Certainly it was in our dice cricket
big
game.
Appeal.
A big appeal, yes.
Well, Pereira has sent us a list, a database, sort of since 2015, winning the toss and batting first. and matches won. Oh, this is all too complicated.
Well, just while you try and figure that out, Azhar Ali thought he had hit that, but what he'd felt was his own bat hitting the pad, and that was the reason for that review. So nothing for Jimmy and Broad this morning, but wickets apiece.
Yeah, they won't worry too much
Jofra
about that.
Archer and Chris Woakes.
The fact that the captain's gone back for a naught, I mean, I think it does make a difference if the captain scores runs. It's good for the team. You know, Azhar Ali going back for no score there. I mean, it's that's pushed the game in England's favour a lot, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, early wickets in any Test match against any opposition is going to help the bowling side, as in comes Woakes. And that one is through Babar Azam, and how that didn't get something, I have literally no idea. Chris Woakes is sort of doing one of these hands to his mouth looks. It was absolutely squared up Babar, taken by Buttler. Can't have missed the stumps by much. I mean, literally a gnat's crotchet. And that was so close to 2 and 2 for Chris Woakes. And I was reading a number of comments in various places that there is concern about. There's a lot of excitement about Barber's ability to score runs, but concern about the Duke ball early on. But he's turned that away around the corner. Josh Buttler gallops across. A long leg comes in. I think Buttler will get there first, but it will get, unless it was a leg by, which I think it may have been.
The point I was making, Tony, was that if a skipper's a specialist batsman, and you get the skipper for naught in the first test, that's worth more than a normal wicket.
No, I agree. It was the old.
I agree.
No, yes, I agree. The principle of the art of war, isn't it? If you can get the enemy's main general, then a lot can fall apart in the opposing army. As Woakes is in to Shan, who will leave that confidently and correctly enough through to Joss Buttler. Run rate just 2.36. I don't know Pakistan will be worried about that in this early stage of the game. That ball was striking middle stump probably 2/3 of the way up, and from the second he wheeled round with both arms in the air. I mean, he's as honest as the day is long, isn't he? Is Woakes. If he shouts,
I don't know. I've never lent him a tenner.
As this one swings in a little bit to Shan Masood, and he just drops the bat on it away into the leg side. There's no run. 44 for 2.
Are there any circumstances in which you would lend him a tenner, Fred?
Well, I was about that.
Asking.
David, he does have the presumption of honesty, to be fair. So
no, his honesty is beyond question. But your ability to lend him money, or
if he was stuck outside the ground, with no money for a cab, I'd probably advance him a tenner.
I think I'd worry more if I borrowed money off Fred about how he might reclaim the debt if you defaulted in any capacity.
Just pay up, mate, and then you won't have to worry about it.
Well, that's true. 3 slips go down, and Shan plays that nicely again. Chris Woakes fields off his own bowling.
Have you ever had to get
completed the over? And we'll have some. Sorry, David.
Well, I was going to ask Fred if he's ever had to get heavy with someone who hasn't paid him back.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. I think you know that very well.
Well, on that thought, do you want to read some social media messages to see who's loving you today, Fred?
I suppose I could. I'm giving up on the tosses and winning games and various other things because I can't quite make head or tail of the tables that.
I like the pun there, Fred. You can't make head or tail of the toss.
Oh, very
yes,
good.
Very good.
You didn't know you were doing it.
No. Mog is, with heavy understatement, starting to doubt my professionalism. Which is
Archer, sorry Fred, is in, and forward comes Barber, and it's there to backward pint. What is wrong with us all this morning? A backward pint.
You don't want a backward pint, do you?
You start off with an empty glass that slowly fills up. God knows what with. But nonetheless, 44 for 2. Barber not off the market. It was Dom Bess who was at drinking his backward pint there. So Shah Masood is on 22. Barber, who's facing, is on 0, and he'll stay on 0 because he just squarely tucks in behind that, and Archer is into field off his own bowling.
You're having a pint of Dom Bass. Jay Grover says, "Oh blimey, just got back. What have I missed? I can hear shouting." That was just everybody having a go at me. And there was a wicket, as well.
Well, it depends. When were you? Did you see the first wicket? You may have missed 2 wickets. We don't know how long you've been away. Or
I don't think we want to intrude too far on what Jay Grover gets up to.
As Archer's in, big high batted whirly windmill leave from Barber, and it's again no run. Archer 1 for 6 off 3. He started here with greater success and dare I say a degree more menace than in the previous 2 Old Trafford tests, I think, against the West Indies.
I think he's looked the most dangerous of all the bowlers this morning.
Yeah, no, I'm with you from what I've seen, David, which is to be fair, mostly so far. And Barber still to get off the mark, and he's short. It was short, and Barber kind of leant backwards to let the ball through, but it was definitely on its way down by the time it thumped into the gloves of Joss Butler. So I'm not sure there's a huge amount of lift and carry on this wicket, David.
I thought there's more lift and carry than we saw from the previous 2 test matches here. That was my perception from the first hour. The crucial first hour.
Crucial first hour. Very much so. We're getting some information from the green room. So if I've got time, which I have because Jofra Archer is getting some sand down on his footmarks, it says, and I'm assuming the green room is Knackle, because I just don't think, if I ever got a message like this from the Bear, I think I'd fall off my chair. But it says, since the start of 2018, no one who's batted 5 or more times in Test cricket, not Smith, not Kohli, not Labuschagne, not Root, averages more than Babar Azam's 65.52. Only Kohli has more than his 500s, and only Root has passed 50 more times than his 14 times. All of which is true, but he's yet to get off the mark here. And he won't get off the mark this time either. But he will play solidly enough, correctly and defensively, to drop the ball down to his feet.
Yeah, I think those stats may surprise a few people, because Babar Azam, you think of him first and foremost as a white ball player, don't you, generally? And his test record, you say, has been really good in the last couple of years.
I think the average is instructive in that stat, but the totals, I mean, countries play very different amounts of test matches.
As in comes Archer, and again, he's looking solid and correct. Big, high elbow. Back to the bowler, end of the over, and any social messages, Fred?
Yeah, I just finished that point. The number of 50s and 100s, I mean, it tells us something, but it doesn't tell us all that much, because, as I say, England play a lot more test matches than a lot of other countries. Jay Grover says, Tony's references to Sun Tzu are giving me the fear. It's the quiet ones you have to watch. Well, Tony, are you a quiet one? Is that fair?
The Quiet One. That was a film.
Well, sometimes you go quiet for a few
It was a
seconds,
film
not entirely
with John
sure.
Wayne. Am I right? Or was that That was The Quiet Man, wasn't it? The Quiet Man. I know it was set in Ireland. It was a very un-Western film from my
Was it
recollection.
the biography of Gary Naylor?
I don't know. As this is left alone by Shan Masood through to Butler on the bowling of the now successful Chris Woakes. And
The
there's
Quiet
no run.
Man, the Ed Benson story.
I hope, Ed, if you're listening, say hello. We will hear you wherever you are.
Yeah. You don't need to type it in, just open the window.
Just open a window and say hello. Can you imagine him in court, Ed Benson?
Oh.
I reckon they must give the jury and the sort of the councils and the judge sort of ear pads just to tone him down a bit. In comes Woakes again, left alone outside of off stump. It wasn't the best ball actually. It was wide and eminently leverable, which it duly was.
We should point out, before we get sued, that Ed Benson is actually a barrister. He's not on trial for anything, which is why he would appear in court.
Oh, yeah, yes. I suppose we shouldn't just assume everyone kind of knows that.
Yeah.
It'd frighten the life out of me if he was prosecuting, if I was, there in the dock. I think I'd be pretty
I think
concerned.
it'd scare me more if he was defending me, put it that way.
Woakes turns top of his mark. He's going to be in to the left-hander. It's taken an edge and it's beaten third slip, and it's going to go all the way down to long leg. Even the slim, svelte Dom Sibley could not lay a hand on that, although I think it must have been pretty close, and it's 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh!
Do you think a bulkier Sibley would actually have got to that?
That's a really interesting question, David.
No.
Because he got there, but it kind
I
of
don't
went
think
through
the
his
bulk
hand.
was at the end of his fingers.
But you're a specialist slip, not Fred. I've seen the
Yes.
action pictures.
We have
not find the extra, extra presence that you get from a more generous
No.
appearance. No, it doesn't help.
The man with the fuller figure at slip. As in comes Woakes.
I mean,
this is the way. What's the clothing range? Giacomo. The Giacomo of slip fielders.
I think Raheem Cornwall's picked up a Giacomo contract, isn't it? But he's a very good slip fielder, and the bolt doesn't stop him from poaching a lot of really good catches.
He took one wonderful catch, but he put one down, didn't he?
Well, no, but if you look at his actual record, Tony, he's a very, very good slip fielder, one of the best.
100%.
And, I'm just wondering if Sibley had not lost those 2 stone, whether he might have just, gathered that into his midriff and.
If you're suggesting that his midriff
to get his midriff anywhere near that,
was 2 yards away from the rest of him.
Anyway, there are
the call was
4 slips and a gully in place to the left-hander, and it's a big shout again.
It's a small shout, Tony.
That was a medium, moderate, slightly sotto voce shout on that occasion. Why did we think that was turned down so...
pitched outside
leg.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's the reason. Thank you
and it was too high.
And apart from that, it was a good call. I probably would have given it there.
He's asking questions of the batsman, if not of the umpire on that occasion.
Yes, indeed. 26 is Sean. He's facing Woakes, who's right arm over and in. And again, he's nicely behind that, although it was going to be wide of his off stump. I don't think that was hitting anything. It's the end of the Woakes over. It's 48 for 2. Fred?
In the light of the last series, or rather forthcoming series between England and the West Indies being called the Ian Botham Viv Richards Trophy, I was suggesting that England and Pakistan internationals should be the David Constant Shakurana Trophy. For people who have given us great entertainment over the years between the 2 countries.
Might be a good name for the Fair Play Award at the end of the series.
It might.
Hold on, who was the umpire? No, we've missed out Daryl Hare. Surely it should be Daryl Hare Shakurana.
He's Australian,
he wasn't English, was he? So
but he still had the same controversy surrounded his umpiring of that Test match.
Jofra Archer is back into the attack.
Daryl Hare banned Pakistan from playing.
But he did.
He awarded the game to the opposition in the way that Shakurana was alleged to be biased towards Pakistan.
All correct. There was no run there, by the way. 48 for 2. Just towards the end of the first 40 minutes of play, it all seemed to be going well for Pakistan, but then Archer struck. Forward comes Babar Azam away into the offside, no run. Then Woakes got the one to take Azhar Ali's pad. He reviewed fruitlessly because it looked pretty plumb to all of us and proved to be so. And suddenly Pakistan are 2 wickets down. If they stayed 2 wickets down at lunch, which is in... Or would there be an extra time,
no,
chaps? Just they weren't off long enough, I guess?
No, but you would...
Archer's going to be in. Down leg. Little flick at it by Barber, who's probably just feeling a bit twitchy. 11 balls yet to get off the mark. England will want to keep it that way for as long as possible, try and ratchet up some pressure on him. 48 for 2, we're in the 22nd, halfway through the 22nd over.
Pakistan did start off, Tony, yeah, you're right, they did start off well, as if they'd learnt from the West Indies series by batting first, by leaving the ball. They'd obviously spent a lot of time watching TV at the Derbyshire Holiday Inn. Not much else to do, maybe.
There's 3 slips as Archer comes forward. Yeah, I've never stayed. I always stay in. I do stay in the Holiday Inn.
Can you imagine the Pakistan check into the Derbyshire Holiday Inn and they haven't got Sky Sports?
Well, hang on a moment. The Holiday Inn in Derbyshire is a very nice hotel, but it's not the Holiday Inn that's on the ground.
The Premier.
It's the Travelodge. It's the Travelodge or a Premier that's on the ground.
Wow.
Which, no disrespect to them at all. It's a fine chain of hotels. It isn't quite the Hilton at Southampton or the slightly lower Hilton Garden, but nonetheless very pleasant as in comes Archer. Left alone outside of off stump, the Hilton Garden in at Old Trafford.
What I'm getting at is, would the Pakistan players have been able to relax watching the series from their bedroom?
Well, yeah, I think they discovered things. I know it's a Travelodge, but I think they do have TVs, the internet, soft beds, all those kind of things are still available in a Travelodge.
ATV Sport in a Travelodge? I don't think so, Tony.
Well,
It's not free to air anymore.
That's very true. And if any man knows about that, it's you. As this one is again defended by Baru. Thought about wanting a quick single, which does suggest he's getting a little skittish and keen to get on the scoreboard. But it's the end of the over, and there was no run, so it's a maiden and Fred. Indeed, David does know about free-to-air television, and he'll be leading us for some racing shortly. Jay Grover says when he went out, he was just going to buy some cheesy Wotsits and some beer. Believe that if you will. We've got a nice tweet from Sanjay Patel here, who says, I listened to Guerrilla Cricket because 2 years ago I reviewed Ed Benson's application for a pupillage in Chambers, and I couldn't think of a better hobby for a barrister to have than part-time cricket raconteur.
It's a really interesting idea.
It's a very interesting idea.
I can tell you, I don't know if he still works for you or whether you gave him a reference. He's a delightful young chap and always excellent company. As this one is full and strikes Shan Masood on the pad, a little high and going down the left-hander's leg side, I suspect, but a decent delivery.
We should probably not say too much about him in case that application is still pending. Probably the less, let's say that, if we're recommending him, that might not be the best thing.
Well, if the lawyers are on an hourly rate for reviewing it, I suspect it could well be. 48 for 2. Woakes headband. He's his Alice band rather than the full ninja look for him, and that was a huge shout. That one was a big shout, Fred, because literally everybody went up. And not given now. The camera is focused squarely on Captain Joe Root. The timer ticking down.
It may have
like
been
the closing
seconds
of Batman as he's dangling above a pot of boiling something or other. But no, not going to be reviewed.
Yeah, pitched well outside leg.
Pitched outside leg, possibly height. Although he was well back in his crease, wasn't he? Woakes was giving it the full decibelage.
So much for Woakes' honesty. Oh
well, when you say that, it pitched outside leg, but enough of the ball was on the shaded area of not outside leg that you'd be hard pressed as a bowler to know that was outside leg. Woakes in again. Forward comes Shan Masood Khan, and it's away to the offside. There's no run. 84 miles an hour.
It's interesting that Pakistan would have worried about facing Broad and Anderson with a new ball this morning, and they were, they did trouble for the batsmen, but it's been the change bowlers and England's strengthening depth in their seam bowling and fast bowling, which is just means it's relentless for the batsmen. There's no time when you could really switch off and think you're going to cash in here, because it's just coming at you all the time.
Very true, very true. Woakes in again, flicked off his legs, but flicked straight to mid-on, and there's no run. 2 balls left of this Woakes over. It's a searching, probing spell from him, just as it has been from Jofra Archer. Just as it was, to be fair, by both Broad and Anderson, who bowled well without luck, I suppose. But the wickets have now come for England. 48 for 2, Pakistan. As in comes Woakes, up onto his toes goes Shan, drops this down. Archer comes in from point, rolls it along the ground, doesn't hit the stumps, and I think the batsman would have been safe anyway. Just to remind you, there are 7 minutes till the GPL ends. That's 7 minutes till the GPL ends. We've had 11 entries so far, so plenty of time, 7 minutes, to get in if you want to. Now ticking down to 6 minutes. Bear, you don't need to send me a 1 minute reminder for every minute towards 1 o'clock, but nonetheless, we were on about 40 quid now, so we must be on about close to 50, am I right? Signal to me or send me a message so I know. Woakes is in, last ball of his over, a little bit edgy away into the offside. They do take a quick single. Barbara Azam is off the mark, not in the most convincing of manner, but the scorebook won't tell you that. It will just tell you he has one to his name. He'll kept the strike, and Pakistan have brought their 50 up as well, so they are 50 for 2, and we probably have 1, maybe 2 before lunch. Do you think, David?
No idea. I guess they'll get 2 overs in. I haven't checked me.
1 from Best, do you think?
Probably
Yeah,
not.
it could be the old let's give the spinner a quick whirl just to make sure
Get
we
him
get
in
the
the
other one
game.
from the pace bowler. Yeah.
Get him in the game. He didn't get a bowl in the last game.
I always
Shame
wonder
Sam
how-
Robson isn't playing.
Jay
Grover-
Shane, or as Shane Robson, as we now call him, as Archer's in, and that one, he has to hurry again, does Barbara Zam, the man at forward short leg does the fielding. It'll be Ollie Pope who seems to have made that position his own.
Jay Grover
Him
wants
to be
to know
the most junior member of the side. Sorry, Fred.
if there are 3 reviews in this test match. There are 3 reviews. And Dave Wood spots something here. He says, the moment you mention Ed Benson, there's a huge shout. Coincidence?
No, possibly not. 3 slips and a gully for the right-handed Barbara Zam. Jofra Archer's in, Fuller this time, driven straight to cover, and no run.
The first half volley we've seen today.
It was, and he didn't really get after it, did he?
No,
In fact,
felt
if
like
anything, he was also chasing it a little bit rather than,
I mean, England have
getting
given
off
nothing,
picture.
have they? They really haven't given anything. It's been very few loose balls.
No, it's, well, you might argue, probably the perfect bowling for the conditions. I was going to ask you something about that in a minute, actually, as this one is driven again straight to cover, 85 miles an hour from Archer. Yes, David, I was going to ask you, who is a man who watches Jofra at Sussex, obviously in his international career, do you think he's just, this test so far, exerted a little bit of extra control, and he might have just been a little more wayward or perhaps too desperate for wickets in the previous 2 tests?
I think he's got a lot of weight off his mind now after that, the incident between the second and third,
Yeah, that's a good observation. That one is a delightful delivery, just moves away enough. And Barber, well, I think we could say he played inside the line. We'll have another look for you. It just did jag away enough, and he played inside the line, but I think because the ball beat him, not because he withdrew the bat on that occasion. 50 for 2, Barbara Zam on 1. Shah Masood Khan, he is there on 27, so he's looking to be that rock. Archer's going to be in again from the Statham end. It's short and it's ducked under by Barbara Zam through to Jos Buttler. Another man, Jos Buttler, who will be thinking he's just a little bit more comfortable in his boots and pads now that he's at least got some runs under his belt. I know the debate will run concerning Archer, concerning, I beg your pardon, Jos Buttler, but he is the man in possession, and he does have some runs to his name as well. 50 for 2. Archer in again. Worked away down to long leg. They will take a single. They thought about 2. They quite correctly realised that being totally daft. So that doubles Barbara Zam's tally. It's the end of the Archer over. 51 for 2, Pakistan. Fred.
Yeah, Jay Grover, another one of the long list of things that Jay Grover is unimpressed with is your reviews of various fine provincial hotels. And he's threatening violence to somebody if you mention such a thing again. Peter Jones says, hello everyone, and hello to my sister Hannah. I hope you're feeling better now. I'm not sure if that's us
Well,
or
provincial
her,
hotels,
but,
that's a bit harsh, by the way.
Well, they are in the provinces. Derby, Manchester. So yes, we hope Hannah is feeling better.
Yes.
And that brings us up to date with tweets.
Can we have a look at our friends on Crick Tracker and other platforms? Perhaps as we go through this over, as we are likely now to be. I would imagine this may be the last over before lunch. We shall see. Woakes is bowling. Has the honour of bowling from the Jimmy Anderson end. 3 slips and a gully. Oh, and he beats the outside edge of Barber again. What an absolute perler of a ball that was. Perfect length, jagged away, and Barber just fishing away for it. It went through to Buttler, and he's still there, but it was a superb delivery. 51 for 2, Barber on 2. The run rate just a shade over 2 at the moment. As we said, Pakistan are more concerned with keeping the wickets intact than they will be about scoring quick runs just at the moment as Woakes is in. That's not quite such a clever ball. In fact, did they? Let's try and talk you through that. It seemed to be going down leg. It appeared to be like he was looking just to run it down to long leg, and somehow ended up squirting it away
to backward point. The throw came in. Now the question is, was he sent back? Or did they take a single? Yes, he was sent back. That's what I thought. Ollie Pope saw the funny side of it, who seems to be a chirpy sort of lad, and quite often frequently has a big old smile in his face. So no run. And this one is met. Getting squarely. Now, I can sort of see why he played such a weird shot the last ball, because he does seem quite square when he plays those shots, doesn't he? He seems to end up very sort of bat facing forward and rather square onto the wicket. He got poor old Barber has got in an absolute tangle there. Nothing seemed to be working with other things. All parts of body and bat were moving independently. So Woakes will be encouraged. He's in, and that one's beaten. Barber Azam again. Stokes' arms go up. It's through to Butler. Joe Root is touching his toes, just I think looking for some way to shake out the frustration of that near miss for England. Again, it was a leg cutter by Woakes, and it completely beat Barber Azam into those green gloves of Joss Butler.
The green gloves of home.
The green gloves of home. Well, it is home as this one's left alone. It's sort of home for Butler now, isn't it? Is he's still with Lancashire, I think, am I right?
Doesn't play for them, but yeah, he's on their books.
Yeah, I don't think you can blame players for that, though, Fred, these days. I mean, central contracts are central contracts, and there is so much international cricket.
Well, it's true, but if you want him to be successful in Test matches, he does need to play long form cricket.
No, I don't think anyone will disagree with you on that.
Somebody would, but they'd be wrong.
They can tweet and let you know. As Woakes turns in his mark, he's going to be in again. That's looking, I think, for a Yorker. It's pretty horrible on leg stump. Full toss on leg stump. It's away through mid wicket. It will be fielded down there by, is that Dom Sibley? It will, however, net 3 runs. So Shah Massoud is on 27, 53 for 2 this session. 25 overs, 53 runs, 2 wickets have fallen. We've had 13.2 overs, and it is indeed lunch. So 53 for 2. I think we should probably stay on and chat about yesterday's Test cricket, according to the messages I'm getting. David, do you want to take us through the scorecard of the morning?
Oh, that's a good curveball there, Tony.
Sorry.
I will get this up quickly. Yeah, so it's been a good. I thought Pakistan started off really well this morning, and shown that they'd learnt from the West Indies series. But then Abid Ali was bowled Archer for 16, and then the skipper Azhar Ali LBW bowled Woakes for no score. So Shan Massoud 27 not out, Babar Azam 4 not out. Bowling figures: Jimmy Anderson 5 overs, no wicket for 16. Stuart Broad 6 overs, no wicket for 10. And the wicket takers: Chris Woakes 8 overs, 1 for 14. Jofra Archer 6 overs, 1 for 7. Back to you, Tony. I think you're going to talk about the Bob Willis Trophy first round of the matches.
Well, not on my own. I think I'm going to be joined by a couple of others. One of which will be Knackle. And also to Hendo, who's joining us, I'm delighted to say.
You're not very good at reading these sort of back end messages, are you, Tony? You've got it all horribly wrong.
Did I?
It's not Nick who's coming. It's me, and hopefully Dave's going to come back. Dave's gone in search of the good Dr. Ansari, who many of our listeners will remember gives us quite controversial copy. Let's put it that way. He, of course, is in Houston and looking after COVID patients as in his day job and probably night job as a surgeon. So we're not sure whether we're going to be able to get hold of him. In the meantime, we shall talk about we're going to talk about the Bob Willis Trophy and what happened in the first round of that. Not Fred Titmus has his finger raised as if he's missing having done any umpiring. Oh, it's the middle finger.
No, I will stay on to talk about it if you like, because it's
okay,
something I've folled.
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, I didn't know anything about. Well, I saw a couple of results come through during the England-Ireland game last night, but haven't had a chance to really look in depth at what's been going on out there. Except I did notice that Surrey Surrey failed dismally and were bowled out for almost nothing yesterday. Did you watch any of that on the live stream?
I watched almost all of it actually yesterday.
Did you?
And you say they were bowled out for almost nothing. They were bowled out for 123.
That's almost nothing.
But the fact it is. But the fact is they weren't trying to do anything except really score nothing.
Oh really? Okay.
If you count the number of dot balls, it was absolutely
In
ridiculous.
which case they were very successful.
Yeah. So
In that
having
respect,
So having realised they lost a couple of early wickets before lunch, I think their chance of a win they felt had gone, and they really set themselves out to look for the draw. They looked like they might be getting it as well, as a partnership of sorts was building, until the lethal bowling weapon that is Sam Robson was unleashed by new Middlesex captain Steve Eskenazi.
3 overs, 3 maidens, 2
3 overs, 3 maidens, and 2 wickets. I think both of which were in the first over. One.
Well, yeah, he had 2 overs too many. That was the odd thing.
He didn't concede any runs.
It was one of those situations where Surrey looked to be quite comfortable. They had lost 5 wickets, but Clark were batting pretty comfortably, and it was just throw the ball to somebody and see what happens. He got 1 wicket with a half tracker, which was hit back to him, and then he got an LBW with, well, it's probably a full toss. He got
wasn't the
2 in 2.
Then. It wasn't the flipper.
He got 2 in 2. No,
it wasn't the flipper.
And it was good old-fashioned cricket. I have to say the quality of cricket. And the games which were competitive for the most part up and down the country, and we had 3 or 4 absolutely terrific games. The Kent-Essex game was fantastic. It was in doubt until very close to the end. Essex won by 2 wickets. That could have gone the other way. Derbyshire pulling off their highest ever chase in their history in the 4th innings to win a county game. We had a good game between Durham and Yorkshire, which although Yorkshire looked like they won quite comfortably, but they had a dodgy start in their chase at the beginning of their 4th innings chase. Lancashire and Leicestershire was perhaps the most remarkable game of them all, because it was a good old-fashioned game that Leicestershire wheeling away, just chipping away at Lancashire, and Lancashire thought they just about saved it, and they needed 150 off 17 overs in the 4th innings to win, and won with an over and a half to spare. Colin Ackerman, and listening to that live as well, I mean, it was just absolutely terrific round of games, and it was, I had missed it so much, when you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 games going on around the country, and you can dip in and out of the various commentaries and listen to them and follow them on Crick Info. Basically, it was great to be back, and it was so enjoyable that there were so many good games as well.
I didn't realise how much I'd missed it until it did come back, and then
Well,
I kind of did realise.
I said yesterday on the commentary, the BBC during the lockdown were playing old test matches and one-day games which were memorable. They were just replaying the whole test match, and I was listening to those, and I wasn't particularly engaged with it until they started reading out the county scores, and it was just then I realised how much I was missing the county game.
Was that because you suddenly remembered where you'd been when that score had been read out originally?
Well, no, and I didn't necessarily remember the games, but the fact it suddenly dawned on me just what we were missing. Games going on all up and down the country, interesting stuff going on, people taking wickets, people scoring runs, and that's the great thing about the county season. And we're going to have that for a month and a half this year. We're going to have 9 games going on every round, and everybody playing, and the games going on the same
when you
days.
want to be seeing county cricket, i.e. at the height of the summer. What did we think about 1 or 2 of the Bobolist Trophy rule adjustments?
Oh, do you mean things like 110 overs, you can't get bonus
Yeah,
points beyond
I was
that?
actually thinking that one most specifically. So I think it's really interesting because you have you still have 110 overs.
That's unchanged. You've got 110 overs to get your bonus points in the first
for bonus points, but it's 120.
You can't bat for longer than 120.
Yes. So it still encourages you to keep the game open whilst maximising your return from effectively a limited set of overs.
Yeah, I mean,
in the first innings, which I think is actually not a bad innovation. 120 seems to be pitched at about the right length for me.
Yes, I think that's quite good, isn't it? I mean, if you haven't put up a decent score after 120 overs, how much more time are you going to use to build up a lead or build up a first innings? It's an odd one, isn't it? I think that might be a rule change that's days. Anyone see that happening?
I can. Sorry, let you take that, Fred.
It did used to happen. It was the case in the county championship in the 80s, where the first innings was limited.
That was to 100 overs.
Certain times to 100 overs,
Yes.
later to 100 and possibly 120 also. I don't agree with the reason that it was brought in. I think most of the rule changes they've made have been in the name of protecting fast bowlers, which I think is a very overstated aim, because, well, for various reasons, not least that they haven't played much cricket. But, I don't think we can be too harsh on rule changes for a 5-game competition that's being played in the midst of a pandemic as a one-off. But I don't, it does mean that the games, as long as the weather is good, are likely to be finished. And only one game was drawn, and that was a good performance to pull the game back by was Northants, was it?
Sorry, Northants. Northants.
I would hope. I think we're going to see this in many areas of life, where rules are brought in under this emergency legislation, and rule changes tend to stay because they were what the governing bodies wanted anyway. But now they've got an excuse to keep them. I think for these games, it's a very small, as I say, very small competition. Only 2 teams are going to go on to meet in the final. I don't think it's a major problem, and I think it will cause games and therefore the competition to be very close and competitive all the way to the end. Which
I think you saw
will
that.
be great.
What have we got? Have we got? Sorry, is it the top 3 from each division plus 1 best finisher?
No, it's the top 2 from 3 divisions on points who will go through to a final.
It's going to be a semi-final. So how are they going to? Right, so you could still win one of those leagues and be out of not be in the final game of the season. Okay, that's interesting.
Effectively, the 3 leagues are just a convenience to get the matches in, and the top scoring points, top 2 point scorers will go through regardless of who they've played.
So bonus points could be crucial here, actually.
Well, they were, and we saw that interestingly at the Oval, when Middlesex I think needed 9 to get the extra bonus point. They were on 341, I think, going into in the after 109 overs. And ended up declaring almost immediately afterwards, because they lost 2 set batsmen immediately who were clearly pushing to get that extra bonus point. Bonus points have always been there, but this was like a real, microcosm of their value and why they mean something. But they potentially mean that much more given this sort of 3-division context, if you know what I mean, which is what you were saying.
Shorter competition, every point's going to matter, and they've also upped the draw points to 8. In other words, 60 to win, a draw for an 8. If you do get a game rained off, look, I don't think, as I say, the minutiae of the regulations for this competition are all that important. It's just the important thing is that we're back playing, and the great pity is that nobody's there to watch it, because I have a feeling that this round of games would have had tremendous crowds if crowds were allowed in. Because all the people there are so many people who love county cricket, even if they don't go all that much. You can see by the numbers who listen to the live streams and the numbers who watch the county streams. I think there would have been huge crowds.
There might have been
crowds of 5,000, and it would have been fantastic to see, but not to be.
I slung the Middlesex game from my phone onto my TV, and it was absolutely brilliant, because it was kind of interesting in the the quality of coverage was so good, so brilliantly well done Surrey for doing that. The quality of comms was great, and the quality of cricket was great. So I think one thing that's accelerated because of the kind of conditions. Remember, Surrey and Middlesex were up until the night before expecting about 2,500 people. And it was only literally, with less than 24 hours that all changed.
And I'm pretty sure the tickets were oversubscribed. Many more people wanted to go than there were tickets available.
They were. So one thing it has, and I was watching the audiences, and they were very good. Because we do what we do, we always have a trained eye on what is that number clicking along on our various platforms. Indeed. So I was watching, and they're using largely Facebook actually as the primary method to get their stream out there. So I was watching those numbers, and they were healthy. Let's say that they were definitely healthy.
Well, there's a lot of frustration to be unleashed, wasn't there? I mean, you're absolutely right. I was thinking to myself only the other day that this may be one of the rare summers that I've spent in this country where I've never seen any live cricket.
That's true for so many people. Although we hope that there is still a chance of being able to go and watch cricket towards the end of the summer. Well, we're near the end of the summer, but it's possible that will be allowed, and I think we're going to see good crowds.
Although summer gets longer because of, sadly, climate change, and also I think isn't the final that we've been talking about, the 5-day final at Lord's, which I think in itself is an interesting talking point. I know we've covered it before, but the final is a 5-day final. And isn't that in October?
I think it's October the 3rd or 4th, something like that.
There's in years gone by, 15 years ago, you'd have thought, what, cricket in October? The players in woolly hats and gloves, and great big.
I was looking at
jumpers.
the county championship of 1980, and I think Middlesex won it in the last round of games. It was September the 3rd.
Yeah, and you'd have considered that quite late in the season.
Well, that was late. That it was always Gillette Cup weekend as well.
Yeah, but things have changed a lot. I mean, I think we had a one-day international against the West Indies when they were last here in 2017 that ended on something like 29th of September. Yeah, and we got used to the county championship having that run of games beginning at the start of September and ending around about the 23rd, 24th. So I don't think that's so much of a change. But it's a rhythm as much as anything, isn't it? The love of watching county cricket, and I feel that if there are times for me who isn't as a dyed-in-the-wool county supporter as you two.
You say that today, Hendo.
Yeah, I do.
You're divorcing yourself from Surrey today.
I'm not a huge Surrey fan. I mean, I go and watch them. But my point is that there are certain years, especially since we've been doing Guerrilla and Test Match Sofa, where I've only got to 1 or 2 live games or 1 or 2 live days of cricket every year. But I still think if I'm going to miss it completely this year, it'll put something out rhythmically with me. Do you feel that same?
I do. I do very much at the moment. My trips to Lord's to watch Middlesex, or indeed other grounds, but very often Lord's, there's an element of not ceremony. That's the wrong word.
Pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage. Just shopping in the morning to get my picnic together, putting it into the cold bag, getting onto the train with that sense of anticipation at Claygate Station. Normally meeting with my mate somewhere on the way to the
sat
ground.
next to Tony when he lovingly cuts his pork pie and his jar of mustard that he's brought along specially for the occasion. It is an event, certainly an event. I don't know the last time.
I don't know the last of the occasion.
I had an image of you, Tony, of actually getting down to Claygate Station en route with your shotgun and taking out a couple of rabbits on the way, stuffing them into your bag, getting on the train at Claygate, straight up to Vauxhall. Not Vauxhall. It would be Vauxhall if it were going to Surrey, obviously. I don't know how you go up to Waterloo.
I would go to Waterloo, then I get the Jubilee line straight up to St John's Wood, of course. Remember, I used to live practically next door to Lord's. So.
Is there a lot of good wildlife on route from your house to the station?
Funnily enough, there is. If you fancy eating sort of, magpies or
badger,
skanky foxes, the odd badger, yeah.
To answer your question earlier,
I don't know what the pavilion rules at Lord's are about bringing in, freshly killed roadkill or game. Probably not. They're probably not in favour.
No, you have to buy it in the game bar.
Game bar, yes, indeed. I can imagine. Yes.
I don't think I've missed seeing a live county game since I started watching cricket, which was about 1976. That was probably the last year I haven't watched a live game in person.
Have you had years where you've not seen very much?
No.
You see a lot?
Well, not very much, yes, but I'm pretty sure I've been every year since then. So if it doesn't happen this year, yes, it will be disappointing. It's nobody's fault. There's nothing anyone we can do about it. But watching a live stream of it is not the worst substitute, I have to say, if it's done properly.
What do you think, if on the basis of these live streams? I mean, I've always been put off by the live stream to a certain extent because you get such a restricted view of what's going on. But I understand what Surrey were doing for the Surrey Middlesex game was a lot more adventurous than that.
3 cameras. They had 3 cameras, and some of the direction was a little bit ropey. But they're learning as they go along. It was in sync with the BBC radio commentary.
They used hot mic.
I don't know. I didn't know.
No, they didn't. They used, Facebook
live.
So you okay? So it was in sync with the commentary. That's the main thing.
Yes, you're watching the ball bowled, and you're listening to the commentary of that ball bowled as
it was the official coverage. Then the commentary was completely already aligned, if you were,
in sync.
With in sync aligned with the coverage.
It was better than many you've seen, which some of the counties have had one fixed camera stuck on the pavilion, and you see somebody hit the ball in the air, and you have to gauge by the reaction of the wicketkeeper or the bowler, whoever's in shot, exactly what's gone on.
And there was an old friend of ours on for a couple of days who was always sort of engaging, listening.
I understand he did a few accents for you as well, did he not?
I didn't hear those actually. I wasn't online for that, but he and Kevin Hand together are always good listening. But we shouldn't just talk about Middlesex and Surrey. Can we pick out another couple of highlights?
Yes, well, we have already touched on Essex, Kent.
I was going to pick out Somerset actually, just out of interest, who thumped poor old Glamorgan by 289 runs. But the thing I noticed there, actually, which does sort of, in a roundabout way, bring us back to Surrey, 7 wickets in the second Glamorgan innings for the Overtons, 5 for Jamie Overton, 5 for 48 for him, and he's already said, "That's it, I'm off," and he's heading to Surrey. So I was quite interested. What's the motivation? Do we think? Does he think he's got a better chance of getting in the England team if he's playing at Surrey?
Well, that seems to have been.
Does he just think he'll get more money?
Well, that does seem to have been the rule, doesn't it? I mean, we've had people like Mark Stoneman, who was so incredibly connected with Durham, moving for that very purpose down to London. Scott Borthwick did exactly the same. So yes, I think it just ups your profile, doesn't it? Because generally speaking, the bigger counties get a little bit more coverage than the others. Although I don't think it's necessarily, it's not as bad as in football, where the big 4 or 6 teams take the majority of the coverage. I do think there is room for other counties, and I think I don't know with Jamie Overton. You're saying he's heading off immediately. Do you mean?
No, he's at the end of the season.
That's what I thought you meant. He's going at the end of the season. Well, we were talking about it, weren't we, the other day? I think maybe it was when we were just shooting the breeze on Zoom while doing other things. But he's going to go there. Reece Topley has been signed by Surrey. I mean, if they both stay injury free, they could be a very exciting opening pair, couldn't they?
That's a big ask, to be fair.
That is.
Reece Topley to stay injury free.
Surrey seems to be the Manchester City of.
Yes, in one respect, yes, absolutely.
Cricket, well, except they don't win as much.
Yeah, well, true.
In fact, in some respects, they had the worst season of any county last year. They were absolutely appalling. The Somerset Glamorgan game was easily the most one-sided game. It's not really a surprise. I mean, Glamorgan have been very poor for a couple of years, and Somerset were still in the hunt for the county championship with half an hour to go at the end of last season. So that was the game which you probably would have expected Somerset to win comfortably, and they did. But most of the games, the teams in the second division, or who would have been in the second division had there been one, actually did better than the teams in the first division, because Middlesex are a second division team, so are Derbyshire, and so are Leicestershire, and they all had good wins. So it's good to see that there is more competitiveness, that Glamorgan game apart, between the two divisions.
Well, looking at various performances yesterday, funny enough, I was looking at that Leicestershire game, who beat Lancashire by 7 wickets, racked up a big old 409 for 8 declared in the first innings. Ben Slater, who I think came from Derbyshire, he piled up 172 and a 94 for our friend Colin Ackerman. Why do I call him my friend? Oh, because we're commentating on him in the esports thing we did, weren't we?
That's right. Yeah, for the cricketer. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure he knows that he's a friend of ours. But
no. So it was the classic pile up decent runs on the board within the limitation of that 120 overs. So you did. To emphasise your point, Fred. You had Leicestershire winning there. I think, again, if we just go back, probably because it's the game we probably know best, Nick Gubbins, who's had a fallow couple of seasons after being quite instrumental in Middlesex's county win, got 190 something and 60 something, and was out in the most comedic way, but admittedly, whilst Middlesex were trying to pile runs on the board, declare and get Surrey back in, he went for a reverse sweep, fell over and lost his middle stump
But you talk about fallow
particularly
years.
ungainly.
You talk about the fallow years of Nick Gubbins. You could talk even more about the fallow years of Hasib Hamid, couldn't you?
Well, you couldn't. He was amongst the runs.
He
wasn't
came back
bit?
and he made his debut for Nottinghamshire and got 250s. That's got to be incredibly encouraging, not just for him, but for the county and also for England looking forward.
Well, perhaps, although.
Well, no,
although
I think Fred may be about to make the point I was going to make. So go on, Fred.
there are two stickable batsmen at the top of the order at the moment. You never know what's going to happen in 6 months or a year's time.
Well, that's exactly my point. We're talking. If you look at the England side at the moment, we've been talking about how strong they are in the bowling department. Suddenly, from a position of having no openers, effectively, or looking around to see where we can grab one for, if guys like Gubbins and Hamid come back into the picture, that's got to be another good thing, hasn't it?
Well, I think it is. I'd be quite interested. I'm just going to try and compare the two. My only comment on Hamid, and it's way too early to say it's any kind of trend because you're talking about just one match.
Of course.
But his 68 came off 143,
right?
By far the slowest strike rate, and they ended up losing.
Yes.
So I think with the limitation of first innings overs, you will increasingly see perhaps bowlers thinking, teams thinking more about winning. You got to get to win because it's obviously far more valuable to win in a condensed tournament where points mean so much. Playing the extra bowler rather than the extra batsman, and you are going to have to make your runs perhaps a little bit quicker than he did yesterday. So good for him. I'm delighted to see him back. I think it would be great for England if he's got that horrible period behind him and he does come back into the reckoning. But in the interests of the team, he may need to be thinking about not only the corrections to his technique, but also the ability to just make his runs a little bit quicker. So great personal performance. Very excited for him. You can't ignore the fact that his team lost.
Yeah, I suppose you can say that. Another man that I wanted to draw attention to, and again, I feel like he's a man whose career has been deemed as over by England well before it should be, is Samit Patel. Not only because he has one of our greatest ever jingles, but what is he doing batting at number 8? I mean, this guy he's a class player. A Nottinghamshire full of such talent that they can afford to put Samit Patel at number 8. And from number 8, he scored 250s, did he not? If I'm not mistaken.
He got 63 off 70, so interesting enough, his strike rate was 90. So he probably felt, I'm having to play a little bit of catch up. That end of the innings is coming close, and we've been left with some catching up to do. So yeah, he made 63 off 90, and he made...
I can help you. He got 80 off 94.
80 off 94. So again, close to a run a ball, and also making his runs. It's a similar debate to, the likes of, why is Josh Buttler batting down at sort of 7 and 8? I think because he is capable of scoring quick runs, and because you may need to change the pace of an innings, given the limitation of the number of overs that you have. I actually slightly disagree with you, Hendo. It may not actually be a bad place for him, because you need to slot someone in who can, instead of the innings kind of falling away, you need someone that can inject something different if the situation demands it, and he's actually very well equipped to do that.
Well, he
so
is
it's not at all a bad place for him to be.
I take your point in terms of the team, but as a player, he's a much better player than that. That's really the point that I'm making. Not saying that, but for the benefit of the team, it may be that putting him there, it works well.
To be fair, a lot of these players are names that we recognise and have known about for many years. I'm not sure that any of the three of us are necessarily, paying close day-to-day attention to how they're doing. They jump out on the scorecard with us now and again. I'm pretty sure the Nottinghamshire coaches will have a better idea of his current form than we do. I'm not saying they're obviously going to make the perfect decision, and there may also be a bit of the kick up the backside, which has often been used to Samit in recent years by England and his county.
Is he a man who has deserved all the kicks up the backside he's had? I mean, when he looks out of his window, or if he looks at his television, and he sees Raheem Cornwall batting for the West Indies or bowling for the West Indies, and he's told off because he goes and buys it.
I'm slim.
He's dropped from an England team because he buys too many bounties. It seems
Raheem Cornwall
quite unfair.
is playing for a country that is struggling to find good quality Test players, and Samit Patel is playing for a country who seem to have them in abundance. So they've got. I'm pretty sure if Samit Patel would be a West Indies qualified player, he would have been playing for them for a number of years, and so might possibly the other name you were going to mention, Tim Bresnan, who
I literally was looking at Bresnan.
released by Yorkshire at the end of last season. There was, the first thoughts were, well, he's going to be snapped up by Leicestershire, Derbyshire, Northamptonshire, possibly Glamorgan, because these are the teams who could do with an experienced player who's going to do a job for them. But he actually went to a bigger county, you may say, Warwickshire, who thought that, we're going to give him a few years because there's still a lot left in the tank. And he's now turned himself into a batsman who bowls a bit, a number 6 batsman, and he's opened his account for Warwickshire with 100 on debut.
105 off 209, so not the quickest. But he also, you say he's a batsman who bowls a bit, he did manage to take 3 for 37, although that game did end up in a draw. Nonetheless, he bowled extremely well and batted superbly. That doesn't entirely surprise me, because even back in 2016, I recall very, very well just how wonderfully he batted at Lord's in that, that close to, the now epic or famous, title win game. But Bresnan, even in victory, I felt desperately sorry for him because he had both batted and bowled magnificently for Yorkshire. I'm surprised they let him go.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Hang on, but it was more Bresnan's doing, wasn't it, than the counties? He seemed to want a new challenge, or was that just marketing speak?
No, I think they wanted. Look, I mean, people look at what Bresnan is doing now, and they'll look at his 100 that he scored now. But if for Yorkshire to have kept him, they would have had to have probably offered him a 3-year contract. And when you're making these hard-headed decisions about how you spend your money, and no county is absolutely flush with money other than Surrey, seemingly, you have to, take, as I say, hard-headed decisions about how much value you're getting for your money over the course of the contract. And it's possible that if Bresnan, his bowling continues to deteriorate, then yes, he might be a very good number 6 batsman, but that's not necessarily somebody who you're going to be paying senior professional money for a few years, which is what he expects out of contract. Warwickshire
but are we suggesting that his bowling had deteriorated that much?
Well, he's over the last couple of years he's been pretty much a 4th seamer, but a good quality county batsman. He's moved up the order from 8 to 7 to 6. There were times when he was virtually carrying the Yorkshire batting on his own. I don't think he's a front. I mean, look, Darren Stevens is still being a good bowler at 43. It's not impossible that Bresnan continues to bowl very well.
Tim Mercer,
magnificent bowler.
A 4th seamer. I'm not saying they're 10 a penny, but somebody who's going to bowl 12 overs an innings, you can probably make do with somebody. It may have been that he wasn't worth the money, and that's a decision that I think was legitimate for Yorkshire to take. Warwickshire think otherwise, and we'll see how it works out for them.
Well, on the subject of Yorkshire, serviceable debut for Dawid Malan. 73 in the second innings, I think 30 in the first. Didn't get himself to 100, but got runs on the board in both innings, and Yorkshire won by 6 wickets.
Well, they did, but they were actually in a bit of trouble at the start of their second innings with a small target to face. So Durham pulled himself back from the first innings deficit to set it, something of a target for Yorkshire in the fourth innings.
They were 2 for 4.
4 for 2.
4 for 2, yeah.
2 for 4 would have been a bit of trouble, yeah.
Oh, well, I know, indeed.
Yeah. If you're 4 for 2 chasing, 180 in the last innings, and there was some rain about, this is, First Division Yorkshire against Second Division Durham. Okay, as it happens, Yorkshire batted well and they won the game, and Milan batted well for them. So, but it was not a one-sided game. It was a game where Durham pushed Yorkshire all the way. Again, good to see.
Just another name to add into that group that might put pressure on the England opening pair over the next few months or in the next couple of years. Another one who's come back into sight is a former Yorkshire player now playing up at Durham, and of course against his old county he got a big hunt or 100 in the second innings. So he's had a couple of more than a couple of really rough years as well. Is this the year of resurrection? Are they all coming back? Is suddenly this?
You talk about Lees, Hendo?
I'm talking about Alex Lees. Yes,
Alex Lees. Yeah.
Well, a journalist once wrote about the immutable law of the X, in that people playing against their previous teams, football, cricket, whoever it is, will want to show them, the folly of letting them go. And this was just another example of that. It so happens that when we're playing these games, probably the best conditions for batting that you're likely to get, certainly for a first game of a county season, which is normally wet and dank, and the bowlers are on top. This time the seam bowler is going to find it difficult. So people who've scored runs, I wouldn't get carried away with the first game of the season.
But I know you're trying to bring me down, and I'm being devil's advocate in a sense. But I just think it's quite interesting to have seen guys that have really struggled over the last 2 or 3 years suddenly find something to make them feel that they've got a future in the game, perhaps when it had been slipping away from them, and it's got to be good, because you look at Burns and you look at Sibley, and they've done a pretty good job, you'd have to say. Sibley, especially in terms of the hundreds that he's got from the number of tests that he's played. You look at that and you think, well, if these two do go through a rough patch together, it's got to be encouraging that perhaps some of these guys are coming back in from the periphery.
You're absolutely right. It is good. It's good for the health of English cricket's depth. And Hasib Hamid, let's remember he was pretty young when he was first played for England.
He was 19.
And his tremendous start wasn't all that tremendous when you look at the figures. He was playing it on a tour when people were really struggling, a tour of Bangladesh and India, when English batting. We had, was it Duckett?
Yes, we did.
That was the great hope that Duckett was going to find himself an English Test opener against the spinning ball. That didn't quite work out. So we were slightly overrating, I would say, what Hamid did at the start of his Test career. Yes, he looked assured. Yes, he looked composed, and he looked to be the solid rock that we wanted at the top of the order. Somebody who would replace Alistair Cook. But it's difficult to overturn 3 years of just wretched form.
Something
wretched. And the same true is Gubbins. Gubbins has had 2 or 3 absolutely appalling years. Averaging in the teens much of the time. It's difficult to turn that round, but maybe this reset, this 6 months off, is suddenly working for people. And on the other hand, you might find people who were informed before that dropping off a cliff.
You're absolutely right. For a second as well, some things don't change. I notice Harmer got 4 for 35 and I think 3 wickets in the first innings. How long does he have left before he qualifies as English? Do we know? I know that was an aspiration for him.
Well, Knackle was talking about this one of the one-day games. I think the compact laws have changed, firstly due to Brexit and also due to decisions taken about overseas players in English cricket. It's possible that compacts may not have to give up their original country. They may not have to retire from international cricket for their country anymore. So unless I've misunderstood what was being stated, it's possible he may be able to keep his Essex contract and also be available for South Africa, which would be tremendous for him.
Well, yes, absolutely. You're right, because with 2 overseas players going to be allowed next year, aren't there? In a team, and he could be one of them for Essex and go back and stiffen up South Africa's.
Especially arcane laws on